All right, everybody. Hello and welcome once more to Discussing Tabletop. How's everybody doing? I forgot to ask Worm, are you gonna have camera or not today?
Did I forget to turn? I
Yeah.
literally got it all set up. I just forgot to hit.
Well,
turn
it's
on.
the entire thing is if you have it off, we get switched automatically, and so I have to
Yep.
move things around. It's
Rip.
fine. I just have to remember to ask that if it
No,
comes up.
I just completely forgot to hit turn on.
I just
'Cause-
noticed in OBS there. I was like, why am I on the other side? That's weird. But hey, yeah, it's the 4th of April. We've reached April, everybody. Woo! How exciting.
Yay.
I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't a bad beginning of April. Just because, I think, just getting into it, I think April 1st went well. Nothing so stupid happened. And everything that
Alright,
happened felt like it was okay. And
on the tabletop side, it was fine. On the gaming side, it wasn't.
Are you talking about the Monster Hunter thing?
No, I'm talking about IGN releasing a joke video about Sony shoving Gen AI into their console.
ooh,
Oh.
Ooh,
I was thinking
not a good joke.
the Monster Hunter server changed their entire icon and profile to be that of a gacha game, and a bunch of people left on their Discord.
No, it seems like there still were some tasteless jokes, I guess, but at very least I feel good because I encountered 0 of those. It's a good year.
Did you see the Games Workshop one?
I didn't see the Games Workshop one.
It was Warhammer 40k the musical.
As soon as you said that, it came to mind because when I was looking through some news stories, someone was talking about that, and I was like,
Produced the full-on trailer for a fake musical that people would 100% go watch.
I'm not gonna lie, they really would. Warhammer 40k, it's the musical. It's the darkest musical you'll ever see.
So good.
It's the grimmiest and darkest musical you shall ever see.
I pay to see people in Space Marine costumes sing and dance.
I think it would be great. You're not. Now the real joke would be they would actually do that, but I doubt that they would at this point in time. It's just kidding, we were actually going to do this.
I mean, honestly, hey, if you don't care about putting on a truly horrific stage production, you could always do the One Emperor's Children one that happened, where the Noise Marines were created. I'm sure that would go over well with the press.
Just gonna say, there's definitely hasn't there been worse musicals?
Maybe? Cats, the movie.
I mean, that was a horrific abomination of a movie.
The truth is there's terrible musicals released every day.
Yeah, true. Someone's working on someone somewhere, and they're like, let's put a musical spin on it. I don't know. This wasn't built to be a musical. Don't worry about it. It's a great idea. But that's a pretty interesting one. Anything else interesting happened for anybody this week? I think the thing that I can say that really stood out in my mind for going on this week really was I got this deep thinking on the one Acceptable Losses did a Dark Sun primer, and it was a very fascinating thing to see.
I listened to that yesterday.
It's one of those things. As someone that talked about Dark Sun, it was interesting how I felt like it was a pretty good primer about everything, but there was points in times where they mentioned stuff where I'm like, oh, I haven't really talked about that. It's not only not having an opportunity to talk about that, but it is an interesting side topic that really I didn't feel when I was working on certain directions didn't come up. But then there was other things where I'm like, oh, they didn't talk about that. So there's this entire things, and some of these I'm like. As much as I've dealt into things like the Wanderer and or the cosmology of Dark Sun and have hinted at it before, I never really dove into it. And it's maybe that would be interesting things to dive into properly at
Yeah.
some point in time, which is ones that I hadn't thought about until like they presented it in a much more interesting way, than the material that I'm working on does. And that's what I try to do in my own material, but I'm like usually coming from a direction I know about to begin with. So it's like, that's why, or I'm learning about it as I go along. So it's like, it's an interesting thing of like, it's always good to see other people's directions on stuff, and inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting them to cover D.
It was one of those ones that...
Which part of Dark Sun would make for the best musical? The Cleansing War. I'm just gonna say it. That would make You could have so many good villain songs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Every villain gets a song, aka just everyone in that setting.
It's one of those things as you reflect upon the Dark Sun is just like a series of terrible ideas and actions by like so many people and things.
I'll finally say my piece on Dark Sun because I know people are just waiting for my opinion. I don't like Dark Sun because it's a setting where you can't fix anything.
That's honestly very fair. I actually kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
I would, if I were to run a Dark Sun game, I would make it so it's possible to fix something.
Because the way Dark Sun is designed, at least if you're going by the original version, is you cannot do anything to any of the Sorcerer Kings. It's impossible.
Yes.
It's a thing that like that is both true and unfortunately not true because of some of the meta areas they did do. I think early on I would say that, but by the end of it, they did establish two different things that I said you could explore for those directions. The Fall of the King of Tyr. That was a Sorcerer King that got killed, and there was an entire story about that. It's in 4th edition. He's dead, probably. It's again one of those things. He's been unthroned, and like maybe there's a vestige of his spirit left behind haunting it. But
the big problem with Dark Sun is because it's cannot be approached or touched by any gods. There is not going to be a way to reasonably make life better in the confines of how the D&D multiverse actually works.
Yeah.
Okay. So
well, I was going to say the other one
are...
was one of the Sorcerer Kings repented. One of them was like, maybe genocide's bad, and so has reversed themselves. So instead of becoming a dragon, they're doing the opposite. Because dragons, like, I guess, the source of evil. There's like a good version of that. They've actually ascended to that. Granted, they're one dude amongst all of them, but it is like one of these things. It's an exploration, but none of them can work together at this point in time. And also, like, I think it's not impossible to explore that, but it is very difficult to explore that, as I think the thing is there. They've put a lot of challenges that make it like hard storylines to tell. That makes sense.
Yeah. I want to say something. There is some truth to that, but also I think there was also some... I think they kind of allowed you to in early editions. I think it's probably like 3rd and onwards where it was very much no. But early on, in like 2nd edition, there are rules for like Sorcerer Kings becoming one, killing one, that kind of stuff.
It's one of those things is that I think we've been... Because a lot of early editions was we have a basic simple narrative, and then we dive into like, we don't do any kind of a lot of heavy narrative things, or tend not to, except for like occasional adventures. I think for the most part, we were trained that if we were going to do that, we were on our own. And I think 3rd edition trained us even more that we don't do that ourselves. We let the games do that. And I think that's the problem is 3rd edition beyond, when like, we got into that. We were very heavily trained that, we're beholden to the stories in the world that they're telling. And that is the thing. I think earlier on, like if we were playing in like early 90s, we want to do that shit. We probably would anyway, granted, it depends on how much of the rules are. I think like I think a good example of that is like in Ravenloft, throw shit at the fan and see what sticks for Dark Lords. Most of them are relatively terrible. None of them have terrible core of a little bit of idea, but a lot of them are just, it's like an interesting idea, but they just didn't do a lot with it, or did it very poorly or something like that. There's a lot of them that's in there. But I think it's that kind of entire thing. And it's an interesting kind of aspect that it's I think for like when you talk about Dark Sun, hope's not gone. It's just really hard to find.
Because like I know the well, you like 40K. That's a hope was universe, except there are countless books of people doing good things and coming out well for it. Whereas a lot of Dark Sun is, well, odds are you, you're gonna die of hunger or you're gonna get enslaved
Yeah,
unless you're like super powerful.
yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things. Is it's really hard to tell those tales as players. I think is the big thing too. I could easily
It would
write
make for a very compelling novel setting.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing too about Dark Sun is as much as I could say that I'm like, yeah, it's a lot better to tell the novel stories about like, the redemption or these big things there. The actual adventures, very hard to tell.
And then the other problem with Dark Sun is reasonably you couldn't bring it into 5th edition because the mechanics of 5th edition just simply don't work for Dark Sun.
No.
Yeah, they literally had to make like a specific class to do a defiler thing where it's just like otherwise
it just wouldn't work. That's why I don't think they're gonna really bring it back fully. I don't think they can without changing 5e fundamentally.
It's
I think it's possible. I just don't think they're gonna do it.
It would be too much work for an obscure setting.
It's one of those things.
No, I
like,
agree. It'd be a lot of work, which is why I don't think they're gonna do it.
And if they do, it would turn out like how they fucked up Spelljammer.
Yep.
Probably, yeah.
I could definitely agree on that one. It's an unfortunate part that like it's on the surface it looks like it's compatible, but the unfortunate thing is some of the aspects of how the world works.
Too much survival as well, and 5e doesn't do survival.
Yeah, it's way too much survival. The basics of how things with the magic psionics, divine magic, and things work. Like there are technically clerics, but they go to the elemental powers. Because the elemental planes are like the only planes still kind of connected with with Athos and Dark Sun.
Because they got like the limbo stuff around them.
Yeah, it's like they've got their own like kind of limbo and stuff. And then like yes, you could kind of be like a ranger or a druid because you're tapping into natural powers. But if you go into like sorcerer or wizard, you're going into preserver or defiler directly as just those. There is no in between technically in the way Athos works. And psionics is a much more common thing, and they don't really have psionic classes in 5e. So
they do in 5.5. Almost
they have the subclasses.
Yeah.
Every class now has a psionic subclass. And they
better.
also have the Scion as like something they're working on, which I presume they're going to release in the Dark Sun book.
Yeah, again, it's like they're working on setting that up, but
there's been Unearthed Arcanas for the Scion.
Yep. The only problem I have with psionics is thus far the psionic subclasses that have released have either been a little too complicated or too simple.
I think they're going with the a bit too simple side right now, because the too complicated side was way more problematic that they started with, and now they're kind of at a lot more simple. It's, if I remember correctly, I'd have to go back and look at it. We talked about it on the show.
Because the UA came out sometime last year for Scion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I recall, it was very sorcerer coded.
It's another. I don't want to say another flavor of sorcerer, but it was very clearly sorcerer inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically just another full caster with innate casting.
Because you can't. It's hard to do proper psionics in the framework of a game that wasn't really designed for them.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes down to I think when we talk about Dark Sun, it's a very huge uphill battle against everything they want to do and what we want to do. So it's really not a good idea for them to do it in 5.
I will say that Dark Sun episode was a fun reminder that every early D&D setting really was just what kind of pulp fantasy thing can we make?
Yeah.
Yep.
It really was. It's how can we be inspired by like a combo of that like fantasy apocalypse plus Conan, and that's what Dark Sun was. It does suffer from a lot of those old pulp tropes in a lot of ways, plus the fact of like it
suffers from the time it was written,
and it is an incredibly dark setting.
It is a deeply in the modern lens, it is deeply problematic with a lot of its things.
It's the thing I can talk about here too. Is I think a problematic setting isn't necessarily a bad setting to use if you do it right.
40K is
40K
insanely popular, and it's so problematic.
Yeah. But it's that entire thing of Wizards is not gonna dive into the way you want to.
No, it's not marketable enough.
Yeah, unfortunately. Which is odd because 40K is marketable, but I guess 40K.
Well, 40K is very small comparatively.
That's true. They haven't
40K
done-
is not broken into mainstream yet.
Yeah,
True.
it's very popular among nerdy cultures, but it's not as popular as people think.
It's only recently become a thing in North America. It really hasn't even spread that far outside of the UK.
I think that's the thing I could kind of agree, I could definitely see and agree with here that it has had like a rise in popularity, but like I can see it being like the level that maybe like honestly 3.0, 3.5, maybe 40.
If they get a couple more big hits like Space Marine 2, I can see it hitting that public consciousness, but most people don't really know what 40K is.
Yeah, it's gotten to those levels that we would have seen, early 20s, 2010s level of early 20s, the 20-aughts of D&D kind of was. It has had that surge up to this level, but it's certainly not getting to that level that we hit with 5e, and the stride with that, because that's an entirely different level. But yeah, no, that was a very interesting video. I do recommend that. I do like that they have this nice. They're very good at toe dipping into a lot of grim dark worlds.
Did you like their April Fool's episode?
Their April Fool's episode was
really good.
I loved that because
Are you talking about the Broadway thing or whatever?
No,
it was?
this was so this Acceptable Losses. They do like grim dark worlds and stuff.
Grim
like
Dark
that.
podcast.
It was technically a spin-off of.
It's an offshoot of Adeptus Ridiculous, which is the 40K podcast.
So it's like the other co-hosts from that did that, and occasionally Bricky shows up.
I'm just gonna say it. I prefer it because Bricky's not there.
I don't mind.
Sometimes he's a little bit too much.
Yeah, I don't mind him. I think I'm very much. Look, I've had to deal with a lot worse people, so I'm very tolerant of people, and
sometimes I don't want that many jokes in my podcast episode I listen to at work.
That I understand. But again, I'm gonna say this here in the nicest manner. As much as he gotten better, I had to deal with Joe when he wasn't so much better. Joe has improved, but if we look at Joe 20 years ago.
Some people are just jokesters.
Yes. There was always a comment that he used to not only beat the horse till it died, but that he would keep beating it until it was a piece of pulp. So, yeah. Anyway, so yes, I do think it is much. I do find a lot interesting too with the because again, like some of these worlds, you don't realize they're as grim and dark as you think too. Like certainly speaking, the things like the one from like Gears of War. You think it's like a war thing against this, and like
no, if you've never played Gears of War, you actually just don't know how dark that game series actually is.
Yeah, it was like that was a fascinating one. Or I'm sorry, Mass Effect. The amount of planets that just get like destroyed. I'm like,
Mass
wow.
Effect 2 and 3 specifically are brutal.
Yeah, I'm like, wow. It's like just on the surface looking at these things and without diving deep, you don't realize how like dark some of these universes are. And so it was a fascinating thing to kind of dive into it. So it's been fun to do that.
If you go over to their Patreon, you can get a free episode on the movie Threads and be just sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think the other thing I can say about it is they do a good job of like taking. They're very good at like getting that like medium ground for like ages of lore and stuff too, especially like World of Darkness. I feel like they did that kind of like between everything.
They did pretty well.
Sense. Yeah, which is not an easy thing to do, and I unfortunately have my biases. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want
to. Go ahead.
I want to mention two things. First off, I just looked at the statistics. So if you want to say like, D&D is kind of in the mainstream now, like would you say that D&D is like fully mainstream or just kind of mainstream?
I would say that it is fully mainstream because of the existence of both Stranger Things and a relatively successful movie on streaming platforms.
I think it's still a thing that people do. It's still kind of a little niche, but everybody kind of at least knows about it. And and a good percentage of at least people of at least my age or younger, so like between the 0 to 40 range have probably at least tried or thought about trying it once.
Yeah. So it's estimated that there are about 50 million D&D players worldwide. and let's just to put into perspective Warhammer for size, this is what I was getting at. There's about 2.5 million players estimated worldwide.
Yeah.
So that's that. So it's like literally what is it? 2.5%? No. That's 25. No, move 0, 10, and then half of that 5%. So it's 5% the size.
It's a big IP in the nerd world. Outside of that, you're not really going to find people who know much about it. Maybe you'll find people who can point at the blue guy on the cover and be like, "That's a Space Marine," but that's as deep as it'll get.
Yeah. With that said, speaking of that, did you guys see the Warhammer the Emperor Protects a Warhammer musical?
Yeah, that was a really good April Fool's.
Yeah, that was a really good April Fool's joke.
Really liked that one.
That's what I thought you were talking about when you said there's an April Fool's joke.
They have on Warhammer TV for free. They have a little behind the scenes making of that video. That's really nice.
Oh, that's cool. Anyway, I just want to bring that up because that was fun.
Yeah.
Other than that, my week was kind of meh because my coworker was gone, meaning I had extra work.
Nice.
Always a pleasant, or should I say, unfortunate, unpleasant thing.
My week was okay. I started a Warhammer book, and it started very humorously because it's an Eldar book, and it literally just starts out with an Eldar mindlessly very poetic descriptions of him just slaughtering humans and being like, if only these racist, xenophobic humans would leave us alone, I wouldn't have to do this.
It's like, if only you would leave me alone, civilians. I wouldn't have to kill all of you.
It's like, all right, dude.
If only you'd leave me alone, I wouldn't have to slaughter you left and right. No, damn man. Why must you be here?
Dude, the Eldar suck.
God, they really do.
Yeah, no, I didn't do much besides play Resident Evil.
I'm not gonna lie. I guess you finished up at least a run though too. Definitely got to.
I'm 2 runs in. I have at least 2 more.
Okay.
I have to do Speed Demon and then I have to do Insanity still.
Mm-hmm. Have you touched the secret puzzle thing yet?
I did the secret puzzle. I used the guide because
it's.
I looked at the hints and I don't know how you're meant to understand these.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. There's definitely puzzles like that I'm like, I'm just not bothering. There's so many that I've encountered that I'm just like,
there's not an achievement tied to it, so there's not much point in actually doing it for.
I think it's points
sake.
For unlocking stuff.
I think you get 20,000 points for doing it.
Unlocking stuff.
But if you just do no healing, no blood pickup on casual, you'll get enough for limited ammo.
So. Certainly speaking, it did remind me there's been definitely some puzzles in games where, like, especially when I got to the PlayStation 1 era, I'm like, hey, I've got the internet. I'm just going to look this up.
You've
given me, I don't want to bother with this.
There's like some points where I'll just pull up my phone and I'll give it a try, and then I'll just pull up my phone and be like, all right, what's the answer to this? Like, because on my subsequent runs now, I'm just like, all right, second monitor, all puzzle solutions, RE9.
Mm-hmm. But circling back to kind of some things that we were talking about there, I did want to say, because I was commenting on my bias against World of Darkness 5e, I actually have found something in Werewolf 5e I really like. I know. They do their enemies really well. Their version of Pentex, their version of the Black Spiral Dancers, their version of Fomori are all done actually fairly interestingly. So much more than the actual goddamn werewolves. I'm like, where the hell was the good adaptations on your actual characters? You made all the enemies really interesting and have improved and worked on their lore.
Alright, well, for a second we got him to say something nice about a World of Darkness 5e.
I know. Well, I'd have to say that about vampires. The last one that I was like, well, they did an okay job in. Stupid things here and there, but an okay job in. Anyway. I guess we can talk about some topics now that we've gone off on some side tangents that are also tabletop related. I guess we'll start with a few bit of RPG news here. Hey, Worm, if you want to harken in on this one here because you were saying you might have wanted to. Travller 5e is up on backer kit. So, is it 5th edition Travller? No, it is. Traveller.
It's Traveller 4 D&D 5th edition.
Yeah. Let me get a...
Because I eventually found the phrase, and my brain finally parsed together, edition for the latest edition of the world's most popular role-playing game, which I realized meant D&D.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting a better...
Which,
link.
I mean, I
Less
can get
jump
why
in
they
the back.
didn't... It's annoying that they have to do that. And I looked into it. There hasn't been a lawsuit over this, which is why I don't think anyone wants to test it. But yeah, this is what I wanted to kind of go into a little bit, is the stupidness of this, because it was so hard. Like, there is a Traveller 5th edition, and not just, there's literally a version of Traveller called Traveller 5e. And this is also called Traveller 5e.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so annoying to me about this, because I'm like, what is this just the Traveller 5th edition? No, it's Traveller for the world's...
It's D&D 5e Traveller. Yes, it's like
converting Traveller to the most influential science fiction TTR of all time to the latest edition of the world's most popular role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of just like, okay. And I did look into this. Basically, the SRD for D&D
Mm-hmm.
does say, basically, the following terms are designated product identity as defined in Section 1E of the Open Game License, blah, blah, blah. These are not open content. Dungeons & Dragons, D&D, Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master, Dungeon Master, so you can't actually officially say Dungeon Master in official content. Monster Manual, D20 System, Wizards of the Coast, D20 when used as a trademark, Forgotten Realms, Faerun, anyway, and then continue downwards. To that, and it just evolves into like specific stuff.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Some of these were annoying to me because, first off, they're like D20 System is a descriptor. It is not, and yet they probably have trademarked it. They probably have. But it's just so weird to me that it's all like, and this is why people don't say things like compatible with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. They say compatible with 5e. Or they say compatible with the world's largest role-playing game, because they don't want to step into that legal pothole and potentially get sued. Now, the thing is,
I was just gonna say,
you are allowed.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this one. This sounds like the problems that they put a patent out there that's a little too broad, but no one's challenging it because it's one of those things that could not be proven.
The technical reason of why Wizards owns the term D20 System is what 3rd edition was originally called.
Interesting.
It was called the D20 System.
So here's the thing, though.
That makes sense.
So this is all related to trademark rather than copyright.
In the third, specifically in the system, the SRD for 3rd edition, it is referred to as the D20 System. That is why they technically have control of that term.
Yes.
That's stupid.
But the thing that bothers me about this is
stupid.
it's about trademark law, which is not the same as copyright law, and everyone treats it like copyright law.
Yeah.
Because they should not be able to sue you to say this system is compatible. Well, okay. So the point about trademark is to prevent protect product identity and to prevent misappropriation.
Yes.
So basically, like, I can't say this book was published by D&D if it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But saying it's compatible with D&D 5e is in theory fine under copyright law. But I think nobody does it because, not under trademark law. Because you're not saying you are this, you're saying it's compatible with this. Although that might, actually saying compatible might be thing, but saying built to be compatible with, this other thing. Like, there are ways around this. Basically, the point is, I think the reason nobody has done this is because people just decided they're not going to. People are just too afraid of Wizards potentially suing them because, let's be real, a big company can sue your butt out of existence even if you win.
it is the same
because of the
thing
way
of like
American lawsuit works,
the same thing
where
of like
you have to pay for your own lawyers.
you have to worry about things with like Disney and stuff too, which I mean, like
Yeah.
there is both levels on that trademark and copyright, you know, and you have to be careful between the two of them. But like they're conflated. I think that's what is the easiest way you've said it. It's right. They are conflated. They are not equal, but you have to worry about that because there is sometimes overlap between them. Sometimes it's sort of like it's what Momo said. The name D20 system. That's technically not a copyright. That's a trademark because that was the name of the system before.
Mhm.
So really,
Yeah.
if you're referring to something as a system using that, but not calling it that, you're fine. But it's still
Now-
like a technicality kind of thing, and it's
Now,
like,
would any of this hold up in court? Probably not with D20.
Mhm.
You could make
Well,
an argument for D&D 5e being plastered on your book.
Well, here's the thing. As long as you're not, like, you can say in your description, this is part of trademark law. You can say, like, that's the thing. That's how Pepsi can get away with saying, as compared to Coke, we are rated #1 or whatever. You know, even if that's not entirely true. But they are allowed to say that because you're allowed to talk about other things, as long as you are not claiming to be that other thing. That's how trademark law works.
Yeah, and you don't put their logo on it either.
Yeah. So saying it's compatible with X. Oh wait, I just realized something.
Mhm.
I've been going about this, but then I just realized the open game license is basically their way of saying you're allowed to use our content,
Yeah.
which is a whole nother thing that I can go into. Fun fact: you can't copyright rules. That's actually a fun thing I learned recently. But you can copyright kind of terminology and way words are written
That's
and
why
stuff.
you can use 5e's mechanics to make stuff, but you can't use the word mind flayer.
With that said, though, I just realized that the reason people tiptoe around it is because there's nothing that says, and this is why I think Orc and stuff was created, and people realize this, and this is why even after the SRD or the
OGL debacle.
the OGL debacle,
Mhm.
people stepped away from it because people realized that the OGL is what is it called? Refundable? That's not the right word. Revocable. There we go.
Yeah.
Is in theory revocable. They can just
Um,
choose to change it whenever they want.
I will take this time to point out that they have done this in the past, specifically with the D20 license. They did revoke the D20 license in around 2008.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of, I just realized this is probably why people tiptoe around it, is because they recognize that if they're going to use the SRD, they don't want to piss off them, because in theory they could revoke it, I would assume, for an individual rather than for everyone.
And of course now, I believe officially the actual 5e SRD is in Creative Commons, which cannot be revoked.
Yes.
But 5.5
Yeah.
can be revoked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful. If you build for normal 5e, you're fine. If you build for 5.5, you're not.
We have
and it
not
does
received
say-
any
and-
news of their promise of putting 5.5e into Creative Commons yet. To my
Yeah,
knowledge.
they did say they will, but I assume it'll be at least a year or two.
Eventually,
but
perhaps.
yeah, but and this article, or the backer kit, does say to the latest edition of the world's most popular role playing game, so that does imply 5.5, which is probably why they're stepping around.
Mhm.
So I just realized, because I think in theory, I just realized they might be able to revoke it for an individual and basically say you are no longer allowed to use the open game license. And that's why people still treat them with reverence, basically, about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a thing. I just realized that might be why legally people still tiptoe around this so hard, when in reality it shouldn't be necessary. But
Legality is weird.
yeah.
So, but getting back to the Traveller side of this, after we've gone through our side tangent here, look, I would have put this as a main news topic if I knew this would have gone this big, but we were already in here too. There's a few of these that I'm like, I probably should put this in the main news, but whatever, it's fine.
Maybe that way it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, this would have been side news if I didn't get confused and then look up how all of this worked legally.
So this is one of those things that I can say about it is I am hesitant on saying it would be these are compatible together. You know, maybe they've done a decent job, but it's like kind of those things we've talked about with the problems with 5.0, 5.5. And of course, then like, how do the ships transferring from Travller work over here? How does all the class stuff? Because the only thing they've added here is apparently a psionics class and some subclasses. Like, it's cool they add subclasses, but there's a lot of times where I'm like, you're a sci-fi setting. The average
would likely
character really doesn't work very well.
fine. In my opinion, it would likely work fine because all you really have to do to fit into the framework of D&D 5th edition is change your dice values.
I guess it's like there's probably some of the classes and subclasses which
you just have
would
to
be
change
stylized
your dice
enough.
values, stylize some stuff. If you have a 3-save system, you expand it to 6 saves.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's a thing. There already is a D20 version of Travller. If you give me a second, I can look at what it's called. I assume they're going to be taking some inspiration from that because I'm pretty sure some of the same people worked on it.
That's probably a good idea then if they've already done one, that they can readapt it. That makes sense then. Okay. Reassures me a little bit then. So,
I mean, it wasn't necessarily popular, and it was for a different system. It wasn't for like a 5e.
Probably would have been 3.0, 3.5, I would have guessed back, because there was a lot of the...
Or D20 Modern.
Ooh, yeah.
I think it was D20 Modern.
I'm sorry, there was a bunch of stuff based on D20 Modern, but D20 Modern was a hot garbage of a mess. I played some D20 Modern.
It was the basis of many tabletop RPGs.
No. It wasn't terrible, but it was a little bit of a hot mess because it came out not like in a position like in between, right in between that and 3.5, and 3.5 like redid so much stuff and improved it, and it's very 3.0 D20 Modern was, and I think that was the problem because it still has a lot of those problems of 3.0. Okay, cool. I really enjoyed Paizo's April Fool's stuff here because rather than actually having like a foolish thing, they gave us some really silly things. So if you want to be a monk that knows wombat style, now you could. If you want to have the kobold heritage, 3 kobolds in a trench coat, you could. You want the spell dad joke? Like, you know. I don't know.
That's just Tosh's hideous laughter.
Look, there's apparently also one that's like a cat owner one where the cat's on your keyboards, which I don't know what it does, but you know, apparently it's a thing you can take. You know, like your cat's on your keyboard. I guess the cat got on the person who's writing its keyboard. And they show some pictures of a kitty, which is very adorable. So I'm not gonna lie, I really do like these. Are very silly. Are they great? Probably not. Are they shenanigans rich? Sure. But you know what? Thumbs up for this thing for an April 1st kind of thing. Just some little silly stuff.
Sorry, I just saw the rarity for 3 kobolds in a trench coat, and it's surprisingly common. Instead of common, it's surprisingly common.
I'm not gonna lie. It honestly makes sense. A bunch of kobolds get together to do something. Yep.
Sorry, that just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, that's great.
I love the description of wombat style is now you two can battle foes with a reinforced rear and poop cubes.
Yeah.
I also like feet for cat owner.
Yep, the feet for cat owner.
It's just a bunch of cat stepping on a keyboard.
Yep. So thank you, Paizo. Made my day with that one a lot. But interestingly, also enough, Paizo is going to be having files for 3D printers for getting your miniatures.
Nice.
So, hey.
Everyone should be doing this.
Yep. So, along with miniatures, they're now including new PDFs for stuff like that. You know, so yes. Yep. So now they have at least a 35 3D printable miniature files for you available. So I'm guessing they'll probably do more in the future, but yeah, they're basically like, hey, you know, if you have the stuff for it, so you can get it. So thumbs up on that one.
Yep. Get in on that third-party market.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like, it's more than likely because there are plenty of people that like, you know, painting miniatures, but there's definitely a lot of people that there's a good chunk of people that like miniatures. don't like painting them. And those are the people that you're probably
Mhm.
going to get buying your miniatures most likely. Those like in between are a little harder to get. And
Probably.
this is probably for the people that either are just like maybe can't afford those big miniatures and still want something even if they don't paint it, or like the painting things. And both of those are it's just grabbing more people from the market. It's not really getting rid of the people that are already going to buy the miniatures off of you. They were going to do it before, they're still going to do it, you know. You've done the work for them. A lot of people like that. Anyway, so good on them. We now know more about the Baldur's Gate TV show a little bit. The basic thing is, at least very late right now, they're not planning on starting production to it until they're finishing off Last of Us season 3,
Yep.
which I think is going to be their last season they're planning at this point in time.
Yeah, that show's done after season 3.
Which, I have to say, I think is a good thing, because, like...
Well, there's not enough content to do season 4.
Yes, unless they would write their entire new different story with, like, or something like that, which...
And they're
would
not going to
maybe
have...
not be bad, but I can't trust them.
Oh, what's his
Or trust
name?
anybody.
The Naughty Dog guy. Neil Druckmann, he's doing Intergalactic right now.
So
So he left to do that, so
mhm.
Last of Us will be done, and for better or worse.
Yeah.
Depending on how you felt about the second season.
Yeah. So The Last of Us final season began filming last month. They're going to air it next year. So it sounds like basically we might start getting pre-production into production probably, I would say, maybe end of this year, next year, if they finally get into it, kind of thing like that. Because again, it sounds like I don't know if they'll wait till the entire series is out before they start production, or at very least until they've finished the entire season.
They'll probably, when the season wraps and is like full production done, it's airing, then they'll probably shift to starting Baldur's Gate. You probably won't see that film probably till 2028, maybe. It takes so long to make a TV show nowadays, so you probably won't see this till like 2030.
The last Traveller. Sorry, I finally found the news. The last Traveller D20 system was for D&D 3.0, and it says it's the D20 SRD. So, which you just said is what they called it.
Well, it's one of those things. Is a lot around that time period that did also include 3.5. So depending on when it was released, I would say it would depend on which one it was.
True. I'm just saying 3.5. That range.
Yeah,
Both
the third edition parent era. That makes sense. I mean, like, I don't think a lot. I guess because they changed things with fourth edition, we didn't have a lot of like spin-offs of fourth edition because they didn't have the an open game license for 4E, which was what they had something completely different. So it was kind of odd during that time period. That is another reason that Paizo went off and made Pathfinder too. But
yep.
They probably would have still made...
GSO was quite strict.
Yeah. They probably... I gotta be honest. Most people would probably stuck with 4E and made stuff for that if they didn't do that. If they didn't change to something completely different. That's why a lot of people went off and did things like, Pathfinder and stuff.
Yep. Right. I just finally found it. Also, Traveller, the D20 version of Traveller was called T20.
That's... I like it, and it's silly, though. I like it, but it's silly. All right. So, I have one... Technically, I would have had 3 big topics, because there's another one that I thought about that maybe should have been here. But we got one actually really big topic. And hey, it's the one where I do like visiting these, because they're always interesting things, even though I am not as big a fan. That makes big about it. Hey, we got another Norse Arcana. I'm always good at these. These are fun. This one's being a villain. That's interesting. We haven't had a lot of stuff around that in 5e. It's not that you couldn't be a bad guy in a game, but there really wasn't like specific options that were pertaining to that up until now. So this is kind of interesting. So the 4 that they're showing off here are a Pestilence Domain Cleric, Circle of the Titan Druid, Hell Knight Fighter, and Demonic Sorcery Sorcerer. Which is... I feel like that's a... That feels like it's like a redundant... They could have called it demonic or something like that. Demonic sorcerer.
I think all the new sorcerer subclasses are blank sorcery.
Anyway,
Hmm.
I did want to go over these a little briefly, probably not too much in depth, but check them out here at least too to see
Using
how.
the term Hell Knight is so funny.
I know
That is.
it is. It's that like. It's just so close, but not quite there.
There's a space there. There's a space there. It's fine.
It's just a space there, so that's why it's fine. It's still
legally distinct.
It's legally distinct because they have a
Also,
space.
I also don't think Paizo gives a shit.
Also, it's a lower tier. Okay, this is something else I looked into. Is tiers of. I could go on about this. Tiers of copyright and descriptive copyright, where it's literally a Hell Knight, is literally the second lowest tier. It's there's generic, which is almost never going to be copywritten unless in very specific circumstances. Then there's descriptive, which is the next tier up, which is also very hard. Descriptive would be like generic would be like Taco Tuesday, whereas generic would be, like blue fish.
I think it would be a thing that they could probably get away with if, because the terms Hell and Night are very generic terms, and if you put them together, even as one word, they could probably have something
Hell
that
Knight
would be.
That's
Hell
what I'm
Knights
saying.
In Pathfinder, a very hyper specific look and thing.
Yeah.
This is a generic. I'm a fighter and I'm aligned with the Hells.
Yeah,
Well,
because it's descriptive, it's probably fine.
Yeah, I was also going to say, they could do the two words as one also, and if it was something like a knight from actual hell, like some kind of devil knight,
Yeah.
that would be something completely different with the same name, and I think it would probably pass the smell test, that way too, because it's very common name, even if it's not space in between there,
Yep, that's basically what I'm saying is...
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying about things, like D20 system, where it's all like, good luck getting that through in a court. I doubt they could sue people for that unless they're referring specifically to, the old systems.
Yep. So pestilence domain, you're supposed to give people plague, got some plague spells, cool. Resistance necrotic and poison, can't be infected by magical contagions. Your spells apparently ignore necrotic and poison resistance, which is kind of cool. And if they deal necrotic or poison, you can change it to the other damage type. So cool there. And then I guess they get the Plague's Blessing, where they can infect people with your channel divinity. Very neat. A Virulent Burst, just like a 0, a Rupture of Plague. That does some stuff. I mean, for a thing a villain character would have, I think it's fine. But also it just feels
villainy stuff in 5e is inherently going to be lesser because there's no such thing as aligned spells that are particularly evil.
Yeah.
Sure, you can be I'm the Plague Cleric. That sucks. Doesn't really make you evil.
I mean, I think it would be fun to have these kind of things, just to have those kind of dark characters. A lot of them end up being just way too edgy, but you can still have the I was blessed by by a god, and then I kind of broke a vow, and now I'm cursed to only spread pestilence or something. You could do stuff like that with it and stuff, which I think is cool.
I'm not gonna lie, looking at this, it doesn't. Sure, flavor-wise, you're talking about it. It's kind of awful. You're doing horrible plagues, but mechanically-wise, it's just another class. And honestly speaking, you can probably just play this normally.
Hey, wizards! I've noticed you've made villain options. Hey, where's Oathbreaker?
Oh yeah, they got rid of that, didn't they? They don't have it.
That's still just gone in 5.5.
Probably put it back somewhere, but
where's Oathbreaker? Why isn't that one back yet?
Also, feat chains. Woo!
The inevitability of everything just being, what if we put a little bit of Pathfinder in here?
I mean, okay. Yeah, I'm not.
What if we
so
just go back
against-
to 5.5 or 3.5?
These literally no. These are literally actually looking at it. These are literally just archetype feats. You literally need Death Knight Initiate to pick up most of the other ones, and then there's another one which is Lich or Path of the Lich is the first one. Yeah, and it's just like, and then you can pick up Lich feats after that. So it's like, and they have, like the top one requires at least 2 Path of the Lich feats. So you need to and level 12, meaning you need to spend 2 of your 3 feats before this level to get that.
The problem with these
Proofs of 4+.
The big problem I have with this, like, feat chain leading to these is, yeah, in 5e you don't get enough of those.
4, 8, 12. Yeah. So you actually, yeah, no, sorry, I just realized the first one you can only pick up at 4. So you literally need to spend your 4, 8, and 12.
The reason feat chains work so well in Pathfinder is you get a feat every other level.
Yeah, and here's my thoughts on this. Like, they almost need at this point an optional rule to do like path feats, kind of like Pathfinder has for their archetype feats, where it's all like, oh, you can get an extra feat, but it has to be a path feat.
Okay, I'm also going to say this about the 2 paths they have here too. I don't really like them in a lot of ways. I think it's the thing of like,
I didn't actually read them in detail, so
I just went through some of them here a little bit. So I'm going to say like here, the big thing I think I feel about them is you're going to be a lesser version of whatever these are, no matter what.
Yeah.
Because you're just taking feats. You can't be the full things. You can't get access to full abilities. And they always they're not terrible, but they just feel like they're mediocre, like giving you some abilities that make you kind of feel like this. I kind of feel like a Death Knight. I kind of feel like a Lich.
Let me break out the old shilling mindset for a second. If you head over to a website called Ghostfire Gaming, you can pick yourself up a setting book called Grimhollow, which does this better.
I believe it.
Here's the other thing I'm going to say about the other classes. The 2 bottom ones, the like Demon Sorcery and Hell Knight. I mean, like, they got the same flavor of you're someone dealing with dark powers rather than, maybe you're corrupted by it, maybe you're not. But generally speaking, that does lead to corruption, so I can see them kind of being more evil.
Unfortunately, making fighter not a man with a sword is really hard.
Yeah. I got some devil powers.
Look,
Titan,
I do want to say...
is it evil? Not really. It's like giant vengeance of the natural world. You kind of become like Godzilla, but like the Godzilla that's like going against the hubris of man and destroying them for it. That kind of thing,
Here's my hot take. I don't think you can do a druid that is like inherently cosmically evil as a class concept, because nature is neutral.
Yeah.
They also don't have the whole thing that, like, because here's the thing: Pathfinder 2e got rid of alignment, but they still have like a whole. You as a cleric can either get healing or harming. You can't get, you can't get both.
The thing is, they got rid of alignment.
Like choose,
but there are still things that are more benevolent and malevolent. Or malevolent.
Yeah.
They still have things which are more good aligned and more evil aligned. Things that are still more order aligned and more chaos aligned. They don't.
Pathfinder removed alignment but kept the mechanics in place without the restrictions.
And so, but kind of like my point is that, but the problem with 5e is they've been really up until this point being very much in the it's a gray world. There is no true good or evil, even though it's still a heroic fantasy where good and evil are very distinct.
Yeah.
But by doing it that way and making it so like, an evil person can still heal, is, problematic when you're trying to make a class specifically evil.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like the Circle of Titan because I would just want to transform into Godzilla and rampage.
Yeah, I mean that's fun.
Yeah. It's Behemoth Leviathan.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think
cool.
we're not. Honestly, as far as this stuff goes, like mechanically, seems kind of fun.
Yeah.
I like the vermin form thing, you know?
Yeah, the vermin form was the one I looked at, the pestilence domain, and I'm like, that's just silly, and I like it. It's
Yeah,
just
I
like,
can
yeah.
I can
little
finally be
cockroaches.
my favorite MonsterVerse monster, Behemoth.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is these are just villain
It'd be
tropes.
a
They're
big
not like
woolly mammoth.
they're just
Yes.
villain tropes that you can paint anything onto.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're nice if you're going to be a villainous trope, but it doesn't mean you have to play a villain.
No,
to play
like-
this. Like
Because disease is not an inherent disease and rot is not like an inherently evil thing.
Mhm. I mean, literally the least evil Warhammer demon is the rot one.
Yeah,
It's
Nurgle.
Mr. Nurgle. It's Grandfather Nurgle.
Yeah.
He still sucks.
He still sucks, but he's, but he is
he
technically,
will always occur.
yeah, but he's
But
technically
in a world,
is the least
but in
evil.
a world where everything is horrible, having like something slightly less horrible is still a plus.
Yeah. He's gonna
Yeah,
have a
you know,
party
if-
while your skin flashes
Look,
off of your bones. But
You're gonna
you'd be
have
fine.
every disease in history, but you're gonna really like it.
Yeah, you're gonna have a fun
be
time.
happy about it.
There'll be a nice party that you'll be joining in.
And then if you impress him enough, he might make you into a demon.
Yeah. Again, like, it's not like there's bad ideas here, but I think like the direction of
I think the
this
Hell
is
Knight is. I mean, the Hell Knight is in like this one. I think some of these are fun.
Yeah.
The
thing is, like, I could see the Hell Knight being also kind of like, it's the same thing with like Hack the Infernal Warlock. You've made a deal with something, and maybe you're not so evil yourself, but you're channeling the powers for a reason. You know, you made a deal.
The only one
might
of
be good
these
or bad.
I would say has a truly evil tint would probably be Hell Knight, because I mean, demonic sorcery. Sorry, your great granddad banged a succubus, and that's how you were created down the line.
You're
Sorry, you're evil
Yeah.
now.
Well, I think my argument for the Hell Knight is at very least it feels a lot like Infernal Pact Warlock. You've gotten yourself
Yeah,
into
I mean,
a mess that's probably not
Will
great.
from Baldur's Gate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's not an evil
you
character, but he deals with devils.
He
They-
uses evil powers for good, to the best of his ability.
But again, like I feel like Hell Knight, it's another step to that direction because you're a lot more physically going into it rather just the power. But still, it is. You could easily do a storyline that would be related to that. Hard, but not impossible. You know, again, all the rest of them, yeah, not really that evil. And I guess the
And look,
paths are
you know-
just there. I guess if you kind of want to be an undead or a
And
lich.
can you and can you hardly blame these kind of evil options being worse than Grim Hollows? I mean, this was clearly built by a small team who poured a lot of love and
Yeah,
care into it versus a
exactly.
giant corporation
It's a small indie team.
who just wants money and is paying people as little as possible to do as much work as possible.
Yeah,
Wait, I think
exactly.
I got that reversed.
You absolutely should check out Grimhall if you want these options. They do them much better, and you can get them so much earlier. They have actual drawbacks. First off, becoming a lich, fun fact, is quite bad for you.
Sounds like you have to sell your soul to
Oh yeah,
oblivion.
I mean, even like the celestial option, Grimhollow is like, oh, well, you're a celestial. Congrats, your soul is constantly being called back to whatever god you serve. Have fun. If you die, you're not coming back.
Yeah.
But they are immensely powerful, and much better written than. Obviously, these are just playtesting, but I don't think. I'm going to be
No, I
honest.
know.
I'm not 100% sure if these paths will even make it beyond playtesting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you'd need to do like a mythic book for these kind of things rather than slotting it in with a setting book.
I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty sure this is coming out with Dark Sun.
Oh, a villain
Possibly.
pass. I mean, like that is the thing
Yeah.
is, if you go by traditionally what's going on in Dark Sun, again, this is going by traditionally, Dark Sun warlocks that have the path of the Sorcerer King are his Templars. Now, granted, there are Templars that turn against their Sorcerer King, but then you're on this ticking time clock of what happens when the Sorcerer King notices or actually cares about what's going on to you, not good things, which is a little bit more direct than a lot of times you make warlock packs. not gonna lie. Most of the time, those things are like in another plane entirely, instead of down the goddamn block. You know.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more on edge, I think, there too. You know,
You know
again,
what?
I see what direction they're going with it, but it is
I'm
like
just gonna say
weird.
it. Why is Druid here and why isn't Warlock here?
Yes, Warlock
Look,
deals with dark powers
Can you?
all the time.
To be fair, they have like so many villainous options already that I'm not surprised they didn't put them.
Like, why
in here.
isn't Paladin on? Because Paladin, this would have been perfect for Paladin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I actually think one of these would have been good for Paladin. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Hell Knight should have been Paladin.
I agree.
That'd been cool.
In fact, when I saw Hell Knight, I actually thought it was going to be Paladin. Then I saw
Mhm.
Fighter. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Again, I really like Circle of Titan. Not really evil. I find it really fun. My favorite of these.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it good?
yeah,
I don't care.
Finally, I mean, it gives Druids something to do in 5e. God knows they don't have much.
Look, I don't care if it's not good. I just like the idea of becoming a giant monster and going rawr or snarl and like smashing stuff. That sounds fun. I'm an old giant monster fan. You know, I love them.
Oh, man.
Give
I do want to
Druids
say
more
though
stuff to do.
they have one of the best spells, and it's one of their druid spells, and it's Longstrider. Why the frick do you put Longstrider in your spells?
Anyway.
Hey, you know, I cast Longstrider a lot in Baldur's Gate 3.
Well, that's because it's good in that game.
They put the ritual tag on it.
Yep.
And they made it last more. Well, yeah. I think it lasts an hour
Lasts
there.
until you rest.
Yeah, so it lasts a day.
So it really is a like mixed bag, and as you know, we've said, like even without getting a demonic sorcerer, you just have demon power in your body. I mean, like,
So
you're a normal sorcerer.
They're always kind of lame.
Yep. Not terrible, but like if you're going for
they're not
villainous
finished,
options,
so they're a little bit half-baked.
yeah, they're a little half baked. They don't really feel very villainy. I feel like, you know, and
Again, I'm pretty certain they're not going to be pure villainy because, like,
No.
again, we talked about that.
Yeah.
But
I do truly believe that if you want to do these villainous paths proper, you need to release like a mythic level book.
yeah, even if it's not
because
like a full like mythic level, the some of those like kind of like I guess no, if they went the direction of like more of the Pathfinder level of mythic what they did with
Mhm.
second edition, they could do something
Yeah.
like that. I feel like, yeah, that might work.
okay, it is unchanged for 2024. I just looked. That's still kind of meh. It's a fine spell. Looking at it again, it's just
It's fine. It's not great.
it's a
There's better options.
yeah. Mhm.
the fact that it's not a ritual makes it suck.
I agree.
It's the same reason you never cast jump.
Yep.
Jump is great when it's on a ring, but it's not worth the stealth slot.
Shall we talk about some TCGs and minis kind of news?
Sure, we can brush through these.
We can start with French Crusade.
I can post it. I got the website.
Okay, well, I'll let you post it then.
Hi, we're getting a campaign book for Trench Crusade called The Carcass Front. We get to explore no man's land around New Antioch and how much it probably sucks.
So I'm going to take a
Trench
step
Crusade
back
is
here.
a dark universe.
I know of the existence of French Crusade. I know very little about what the universe actually is
Alright,
or anything like that.
So let me hit you with the TLDR of French Crusade.
Mhm.
All right, the Templars. They take Jerusalem during the First Crusade.
Yep.
What do? They open a portal to hell. For the next several centuries, it's humans versus demons. And now it's World War I setting, and everything's bad.
Okay.
Also,
so-
Baba Yaga exists, and her walking hut is stomping around Russia.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real. Any game that's centered around warfare as like the main selling point is going to be a terrible world.
Yeah, it's World War I. Now let's put demons and god magic into it.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's basically
Um,
we've turned
Now,
from
if you're
like
gonna ask, there's technically not demons and angels fighting because of compacts and stuff, and also the vague wording of I forget what the city's name was of Blank City was taken by God, and that's all we get information-wise from it.
Mm-hmm.
We can assume maybe an angel appeared and destroyed everything.
Ah. So, yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, it's basically God and Satan having a proxy war on Earth, the game.
Gotcha. Cool. That definitely leads to
I
some...
will say, the art, very good. I really like
Wait,
the French Crusade.
when did we start talking about Darksiders, huh?
The forgotten franchise.
The one that's really good, but they do it such a disservice.
Budget God of War, as the first game was called.
Yep.
The first game is Budget God of War. The second
Game is very good.
Yeah, it is very good.
I love the second game.
And it's
Third
more
game
like
was a
looter,
little iffy.
like a weird looter fantasy thing.
It's like an RPG.
We haven't
Yeah,
gotten the
it's
fourth
an
game.
RPG.
The fourth...
Technically, yes, it's a Diablo ripoff.
So we've had all 4 of the Horsemen.
Wait,
then?
have we gotten the fourth game? I only
We
remember
did
the
get a
third.
fourth game. I believe it's... let me look at what it's called.
Oh, it is an online game, yeah. Oh,
I think it's Darksiders Genesis. You play as Strife. It's like fine. This is the last entry, and I think the franchise is probably dead.
Yep. They went a different direction. That's not a good direction.
Oh no! Apparently 2 years ago they said they're making Darksiders 4.
They're actually making Darksiders 4. Well, good for them.
So apparently they're gonna make a new Darksiders.
Mm.
Yay! Because I
Let's
think
hope
we're
it's
still
good.
missing one of the horsemen. No, we got all 4 of them now. Because we got Strife, War, Death, and whatever the lady was called.
Pestilence.
I think it was called something else, but it was like the another...
Because they changed the name of 2 of them. Because I think it's Fury
They're-
and Strife instead of Pestilence.
I think they can
and,
technically kind of be called
other
that.
guy.
I think it depends on like some translations or stuff. Like there's versions of stuff with the...
Because there's War and then there's also Fury. They're kind of the same thing, except one uses a whip.
I mean, I only played the first 2. I have the third one. I want to play it at some point.
It's okay.
Mhm.
Had a lot of bugs on launch, but I assume they fixed a lot.
I want to stop by Magic just a little bit because we want to talk about
Yay.
Strixhaven because I like Strixhaven.
That's a good one.
Oh,
Already
Death,
looked
Strife, War, and Fury. Yeah, okay.
So, first off, I wanted to talk about their novel because they're pre-moving it, and it's an actual novel, and the physical one has a promo card in it, which is something they used to do, and I'm really happy they're doing it again. It's a command tower, which is awful, but it's still a promo card in a book, and I like that.
I'm certain these will not be bought up by scalpers and sold for hundreds of dollars.
Yes. It's just a command tower, so I hope they don't do that, because it's not valuable. It's a command tower.
No, they will.
I
They
know.
100% will.
Yeah. But I do like, that coming out in a couple of days is the book that's going to be going on along with this. And I find that fun. That's really cool. I put thumbs up this one. And then we do have a full look at the new mechanics. There are a bunch of returning mechanics, especially with the, I guess, Dragon Lords of the schools, because like one gives Cascade, another gives like Miracle, and I'm like,
Makes sense.
yeah, I'm like, they basically are very powerful and kind of silly. I like them though, for the dragon heads of the schools. But prepare, it's neat. Either sometimes creatures enter with that ability to be prepared or gain it during their gameplay. And while it's prepared, you can basically cast a spell once. And most of these spells have names of spells to past. Like the one they're showing here has Rampant Growth, an old spell, and another one has Ancestral Recall, one of the Power 9 mentioned on it. Now granted, is it as good as that? No, it's not. You have to spend 6 mana because it comes in prepared to get 3 cards,
Yeah.
but get a creature too, and then with doing some more stuff, you can use it again. So it's not insane, but it's neat. And it's recalling those old spells. Repartee for Silver Quill is kind of neat. You cast a spell and exile something, and then it comes back. Opus is +1/+1 counters and possibly getting copies. Infusion is +1/+1 counters when you gained life. Most of those abilities were usually when someone dealt damage, they gained +1 counters, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Flashbacks back, cool. And Increment is basically a version of something that happened on Simic back in Return to Ravnica, but it's for spells rather than creatures. It used to be if you passed bigger creatures, you get +1/+1 counters. Just cast bigger spells, you get +1/+1 counters. Converge is kind of neat. That's spending colored mana for something. We've had stuff like that. The big one I want to kind of mention is the one that I think is really cool is Patagrim, or Paradigm. I've never say that word right ever.
Paradigm.
Paradigm.
Oh, it's Paradigm. Oh my god, it's Paradigm.
That's how you spell. That's how you spell paradigm. Yep.
So, side tangent here.
Cringe.
My brain's trying to do Paradigm.
Nope.
It's trying to do it. My brain's breaking with it. Please say it again.
Paradigm.
Paradigm.
You got a pair of dimes.
Paradigm.
Yeah.
Mages all have a paradigm. I've been called it Paradigm the entire time because I didn't know it's paradigm. I did not know that's how you spell paradigm.
Yep.
And it's like one of those things is a word that I've never actually spelled myself, so it didn't come to mind. Or if I did, it was so many years ago.
Yeah, it is one of those ones where it
It's a
starts off
weird-looking word.
okay, but then it just doesn't make sense after the D.
Why English is a weird language.
Well, anyway, it's you cast a spell once, and then every turn you get to cast it again on your turns, and I really like that. It's kind of neat. Expensive spell,
An
but
anglicized Greek word, so
you get it once a turn. That's kind of cool. I like it. And now there's also books as a subtype for artifacts.
I like how I'm scrolling through it and you say paradigm and I'm like, wait. And I scrolled further.
on
I'm like,
a
wait,
second.
where is that? And then I scrolled back up and I saw paradigm. I'm like, oh.
no, let them cook. Insert that one Kingdom Hearts 3 image of Woody.
Look, I'm not gonna
So I
lie.
was just like, I for a second was looking for a completely different.
I'm not gonna lie. I am bad at English. I think this is something that everybody has understood
Yeah.
ever for
Mhm.
me. There's reasons that
happens.
I avoided English
There
classes
are some
like the
words
plague.
that just look like they shouldn't be said the way they are.
Look, but when I went to college, I did the bare minimum of anything English related, and I did the things that were usually like optional, that were like more, that were easier to do because they weren't direct like Englishy classes because I was bad at those. Also learned to hate Hemingway, but that was beside the point.
Well, everyone hates that anyway.
Yeah, I just remember there was a class I took that the teacher had a hard on for Hemingway and had us read like 10 books over the course of the thing, and I'm like, I hate all these. They suck. Anyway, Paradigm is pretty cool. I like it as an interesting idea. I think all the abilities are interesting ideas. Are they things we've kind of had before? Sure, but some of them are very interesting directions for these kind of things, and they feel like they work well. Turns out when people design something really interesting, you get something interesting, and maybe Magic School's a great place to explore some of these weird directions. I'm just saying. Better than I don't know, Pizza in New York or something like that.
Sorry, I can't hear you over the fact that New York City will be in Magic 3 times by the end of this year.
Oh, hey, there was the casting from Exile thing is something that Slay the Spire 2 has already.
Nice.
Cool. That is a card game that would be interesting that I don't care too much about. But as a card game, might be cool to check. Anyway, there's a lot of card games to check. But yeah, there's the mechanics for Strixhaven. I don't know if I want to dive too deep into it at this point in time. I'm very happy about how things look for the set. Turns out, when it's an in-universe set, or even a universes beyond, that's of something that feels very magic-y, I'm happy.
Yeah, you
Give
can
me an
tell the
Avatar.
difference in positivity between like
Give me Fan Fantasy. Give me Avatar.
Strixhaven
I like
and
those.
Ninja Turtles or Marvel.
Yes. Like,
Or even Duskmourn. No one was happy about Duskmourn.
no, it's not good. Duskmourn had a cool idea, but as I think,
Duskmourn was half a good set, and the rest of it was references to 80s movies.
as the professor said very well, Duskmourn was a setting that needed 2 sets to tell its tale. And they gave it 1, so it was not good.
It's alright. It's alright. The Star Trek set will be good. Don't worry about it.
Where's my Borg cube?
I blew it up in Picard. Sorry.
Damn it. That makes sense. I just briefly want to report on the Cyberpunk trading card game yet again because they've hit 16.5 million almost.
Nice. Hell yeah.
They're going pretty crazy there. I know I keep shouting it out, but I'm curious
Very
as to how high it
excited
will
for
go.
this.
Yeah, I really am curious as to how high this will go. I don't know if this will be the most expensive Kickstarter, but it might get up there. It's definitely the most expensive of a lot of tabletop, ever at this point in time in Kickstarter. So
Hold on, I'm checking. Okay, okay, specifically I have to look for Kickstarter because, well, it's definitely not going to beat Star Citizen because that's still collecting money.
yeah, that's true.
Because I think they topped out at like 175 million. But this might become the best doing tabletop thing.
They are in fact currently the most. I just sorted on their tabletop games by most funded, and it looks as though the next one down was Brian Sanders's Cosmere, which got 15 million.
Yeah, that did pretty good because thank God he no longer holds 2 Kickstarter records.
Yeah. Then Marvel Zombies, a Zombicide game, Avatar Legends, Kingdom Death Monsters, and Frosthaven were pretty high up there. But yeah, so now it is the most funded tabletop game there is. Most funded all categories. Yeah, there was
probably Brandon Sanderson again, I assume, or Star Citizen.
Star Citizen's not the most on Kickstarter. I think overall most funded.
Oh, interesting. Well, yeah, because
looks like this a 3D UV printer that you could have gotten for 46 million. But if I'm looking here, it's number 6. Oh no, Brian Sanderson's number 2 for
Brandon
4 secret novels.
4 novels.
Yeah, but it's 3 laser printers, a watch. Brian Sanderson are apparently the only things more money on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I mean...
41 million. I don't know if they'll reach that, but, for the 4 novels of Brian Sanderson.
But they're going to pretty firmly hold that tabletop area. Yeah. I mean, Cyberpunk is popular.
Yeah. They might actually...
It's also a pretty good game now.
They might actually beat out one of these printers. It's only 18 million, as I'm looking here.
I probably will back this before it is done because I like Cyberpunk.
Yeah. Look, it was.
I also think it's more than just the video game, so that's mainly why I'm excited.
And they've done a good job of showing off their stuff. I haven't looked super deep into it. My little look into the actual TCG and stuff, it looks actually pretty well done, and the art's very good and pretty decently designed. I'd have to see the full rules to see how complex or easy it would be overall, but it doesn't look bad on the surface, is what I kind of say. Usually you could take a look at a TCG and be like, this is going to be a complex mess, or this will be really easy. Or it could be, I guess, like Magic's that middle round, because it's not really a complex mess, but they got a lot of age on it that makes it more of a complex mess.
Depending on how this is played, I could see this becoming really popular because it's a hot, trendy thing right now.
Yeah.
Also, actually, while we're talking about Kickstarter, I'm gonna take a step back to RPGs and just let people know that Luke Humphreys's When Society Collapsed is. I'm gonna post it.
Yeah, go post a link for that one. I'll have that one.
Has launched launched a few days ago, but yeah, I think it's a neat little thing. I think it's I backed it.
Very, very good.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll make sure to make note of that one. Oops. I wanted to press enter, not delete. Why did I push the wrong buttons there? They're putting stuff.
Yeah, he's done some videos. I watched a few of them about how it's going to work, and I think it's kind of cool because it's actually it is definitely, even though it's going to be built around this system, his little world, he does talk about how it can be adapted for other things. So it's going to be moderately system agnostic, which is.
I got some more board gaming, card gaming, plus news to talk about. We can talk about something that is technically related to miniatures, but also not, because we're getting, I don't know how many they've done, but another expansion for Munchkin.
It's like
Warhammer
the third
40K.
One for Warhammer 40K, I think.
Yeah,
that link messed up.
That was a very bad link there. I'm gonna try to redo the link here.
Yeah, you can delete all of the stuff that's not hyperlinked, and it works. Really, you can delete after that question mark.
Yeah, I did that.
behind Gore, and then you're good.
Yeah.
'Cause that's all the search query stuff from Google.
It's just, I came from their main page, and they gave me all that stuff at the
Yeah,
back
no,
end.
like sometimes links are fucked.
Yeah. Like, I linked from your main page where you have news and stuff like that, Steve Jackson Games. Anyway, yes, it's got some Deftus Custodies, Leagues of Votan, World Eater stuff in there, adding that apparently. some
World
flavor.
Eater's my beloved.
Yeah. So again, they're continuing it with some more you can play different armies instead of like classes and like I guess like race species and stuff like that.
Fun at least.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
I still don't like Munchkin.
Nah, Munchkin is like one of
It's
those ones I like playing
fun.
occasionally.
I
But,
played it
like,
like
yeah.
once in my life, and that was enough.
It's heavily luck based.
Yeah. So this is the fourth
Basically.
expansion that they've had on top of the base game. So had a lot here. They've been doing a lot of them. I guess this is like definitely one of those ones that people like playing different armies and stuff. So it's an easy one to make more of for all the different like factions and stuff. Kind of adding them in. I can see why it can be a more popular version of Munchkin. So, speaking of Warhammer, we got Darktide, the card game, coming out.
Yes.
That's an interesting one. I didn't think that Darktide would be a direction for the card game. I thought more a miniatures game would be for it, but I guess.
Darktide. Well, because Darktide is dungeon based, so you can do like a dungeon crawl.
Oh
Since
yeah.
it's 4-player.
Actually
I
makes
presume we'll
sense.
also get, assuming this does well, we'll probably get an expansion for Hive Scum and Arbite.
Yeah.
Those are also in the game.
Okay. Yeah.
I like Darktide. Darktide's a good game.
So yeah, the way that you say it doesn't really make sense. The way you'd play it, being a kind of more mission-based exploration kind of setup.
Okay, so
That's
it's a card game, board game kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Got it.
So cool. Okay.
You can play the Ogren, everyone's favorite boy.
Yeah. Big boy.
Oh, I
it's-
see. Finally moved on to.
Seeing if they better
It's
release.
got veteran. It's got the base classes of the game: veteran, Ogren, Psyker, Zealot.
So I guess
Which,
it is.
one day I'll drag you into playing Darktide Tempest.
Yes, I do say
I think I
one of
own
these
it.
times you have to.
It's a very good game.
Um,
I'll have to make a new character so I don't just carry on level 1 missions with a
Yeah.
level 30 guy.
Yeah, I do have it.
so it
I like
looks.
Darktide a lot.
It looks like their pre-orders are sold out right now.
Oh, this thing is so popular.
Because I'm
Also,
looking,
the
they've got the
benefit
order
of
now, and they're also saying
Yeah,
releasing
it's
soon
it's
on their
sold
like
out.
site, and on their like news. They're like, we're revealing the game at this point in time, and they have like the order now.
No,
for
this
pre-order.
was
Wow.
insanely popular as soon as it got
It-
announced.
So apparently on last Sunday, when they put this up and revealed it onto pre-order, it got sold out, or I guess maybe order. I don't know if it's pre-order or order, but
Yeah,
they revealed it then.
look,
awesome.
Darktide is not a perfect game, but the benefit of the card game is it doesn't crash every 5 hours.
Certainly speaking, with all the success that they've been having in court, the Palworld card game is moving along.
Good
Ha,
for
ha, ha.
them. I love rage baiting Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's so weird that like Nintendo has been just going after them, even though there are so many people doing the exact same thing. I think it's just because they're popular. They're going
I
after it.
truly do believe it's if Palworld sold like shit, I don't think Nintendo would have cared.
Yeah.
No.
It's. And again, it was like nothing was an exact one-to-one ripoff. There were some things that were similar, but they weren't like so close that you couldn't like claim
There's
that.
some of the pals look very similar to Pokemon, but they are
You
original
ma-
designs.
If you might have been able to argue against a few of them, but not the majority of them.
It's not like that other Palworld ripoff that was announced recently that just has a fucking Pokemon model in it.
that also just has Roadhog from Overwatch.
Yeah, that fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
What was this?
I forget what it was called, but there was it was a Palworld clone that just had Nintendo assets
that
in it.
one. Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah.
But it's got like
Like Nintendo did nothing about it because it wasn't.
Yeah, no one did shit about it. That game's probably never coming out.
mhm.
No. And if
But-
it did come out and it was good, then they'd be destroyed.
The whole reason I assume Palworld got targeted is because it is a very popular game.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's
Yep.
what it is. It's like if that would release and be popular, I think then Nintendo would say something about
It
it.
also ended up having the backing of Sony and Microsoft, so it is one hell of a lawsuit.
Mhm.
Look, I mean, look, I can tell you right now, being in the furry community, yeah, Palworld is definitely popular by comparison
Yeah.
to a lot of other
There's a
games like
dating sim.
Temtem and whatever.
There's a Palworld
I
dating sim.
remember that. Yeah, I remember that. That was like an April Fool's joke, but it was like a full fucking game.
So, I mean,
Didn't
Palworld-
Sega put out
the-
like the death of Sonic the Hedgehog on April Fools, but it's a full goddamn
Probably.
game, you know?
I mean, realistically, Palworld's first trailer also was on April 1st, I believe.
Mm.
It was, yeah. And that's the whole thing. People like the whole thing was like, is this a joke or is it
This
not?
is
It's
not
on
a-
April
yeah,
1st.
No, like fully when Palworld got announced, I was like, this isn't a real game. And then it came out, I'm like, oh, okay.
So there's a couple more small pieces of
Good for
news
them.
that we can talk about. Hasbro got hacked.
Nice.
Yeah. We don't know
Good for
what
them.
they got, but Hasbro got hacked. Got some kind of data. Apparently didn't affect anything under D&D, but that kind of makes sense because Wizards is kind of like
It was probably a
subsidiary.
lot of internal data.
Yeah.
That tends to be what is stolen over like D&D or
Mhm.
like internal data usually gets stolen over IP stuff.
Yeah. Some things crashed on some
Would you-
websites, and
You can sell employee data easier than you can sell company secrets.
and a mild update for good old Diamond, because it's always great when we get an update from them in the course of the week.
This is still going on.
Yes. So, in the distributor's case, has denied some consignor's motion to release the inventory basically after a February 26th ruling that the bankruptcy could no longer assume or reject consignment contracts because the time expired. So it sounds like what's going on is there is something going on in appeals court, so they're kind of putting things into kind of like a stalemate again, I guess, until appeals have been filed, motions have been reviewed, and all that kind of stuff, and it's a kind of hot goddamn mess as it continued there too. So yeah. I'm just like, yeah. Some people just want the inventory back, and everybody's fighting against it or having problems against it, it seems like. So it's not only Sparkle Pop, but I guess the bankruptcy trustee doesn't want to deal with it too, and just wants to like make things easy for themselves, I can only guess. I don't know. It's like it was inherently the shittiness of Diamond and its death throes was inherited by whoever's now in charge of its bankruptcy. It almost feels like in a degree, maybe not as bad, but you know, and for different reasons rather than greed. Basically, I just want to get rid of all this stuff and do it the easiest way. But I don't know. It's a mess, and it continues to be a mess. And War Order's there too. So yeah. Anyway, things are on hold for a while. Let's talk about something. I got a topic here. And this is not too difficult a topic, but I thought it was an interesting topic to talk about because we talk about inspiration in games all the time.
Okay. Hold on. I want to
Okay.
bring this up real fast.
Okay.
Yeah, Sparkle Pop is also being a roadblock because they're literally like being like, okay, well, we'll release the consignment inventory to you. Like they control it. Like
Mhm.
Diamond is supposed to give it back, but then Sparkle Pop controls the warehouse with it. And they're like, okay, well, we'll give it back to you as long as you pay us the fees for storing it for all this time.
Yep. Which also, this is inventory they shouldn't have gotten, though, because Diamond just
that
gave
they
it to
shouldn't have gotten and should have given back forever ago.
them. Goddamn mess. I shake my fist at them.
It's fun. It's fun to watch big companies fight amongst each other.
Mm-hmm.
Except when, actually, no. The problem is this is actually involving small companies.
Yeah,
Anyway,
unfortunate.
discussion
All right.
topic then.
So, as I was saying, as I took a bite of some food, we have talked about definitely using various medias and stuff as inspiration, and this is something I kind of hinted at before, but I did want to kind of dive into it a little bit for like a kind of medium, small topic here for a bigger end of the thing topic of using moments in world history for inspiration for your games. So I kind of want to talk about that for a little bit here too, because hey, it turns out, you know, as much as you can get inspiration from a lot of crazy fantasy stuff, real life can be crazy too. There have been a lot of crazy shit that's happened in the real world and over time that, certainly speaking, would be interesting from, you know, crazy wars and exploration and all kinds of different things. Events that have happened in various figures' lives, you know, whether good or bad, have been very interesting. And the fact is that you can, of course, take things very literally. I think that's one way you can take a real life event and kind of mimic it pretty exactly on the basics of what's going to happen, or you could take an inspiration from that. Certainly speaking, interesting sieges or stuff for various cities can give you an idea about where to go, and then you could just work on top of that if you want to do like a siege of a city, or like maybe like various issues that happened in a court of nobles or something like that. You know, you could have something akin to the death of Julius Caesar occurring in one of your games, where someone was betrayed, and you don't have to have them exactly stabbed. Maybe, you know, they were, you know, if you're going for something a little bit more Renaissance era, they were shot a whole bunch of times, or maybe you could have them like poisoned and end up dying rather than stabbed a lot. You know, there's different directions, but the idea of, you know, a major figure that was maybe a powerful emperor or something of a group being killed off betrayed by his trusted individuals, and what happens to the empire after that is a story to tell. You know, I think it's like you can look at things that have happened, and, you know, I'm using the basic simple parts of history, but again, like those crazy things that have happened, you know, you could do an entire adventure exploring a disappeared, city, and basically pull not the actual historical things, but like the fake history version of Roanoke. You know, you could do like the weird stories that are like, you know, not the obvious this is the answer ones, but there's
I have
stories that exist. You know?
two pieces of advice.
Mm-hmm.
The first piece is one. Make sure you actually do your proper research.
Yep.
But you're taking inspiration too. The more modern history is, maybe don't take inspiration from stuff in the last 100 years. That's still pretty fresh.
Yes. I think there are.
You can do realistically. You could do like a World War I or World War II equivalent. You could probably get away with Cold War, but beyond that, that's a little too fresh for some people.
Yeah,
I was gonna say like 75 years should be fine, but I also feel like you could. I feel like it really depends. I mean,
I don't want to be playing a D&D game and then I'm hit with this important trait where some kind of global fuel supply is closed. I don't want that in my D&D game.
Okay, that's very fresh.
You don't want a pair of wizard towers that's hit by a dragon.
Yeah. All right, no, all right.
Look,
so you can do that, but you have to make the joke, Mr. Archmagus, a second dragon has hit the tower.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I did have a game where we accidentally rammed a dragon into a tower and realized afterwards what we had done.
Turn on the orb, any channel.
Yep, I've seen that
like,
meme. It's where my brain went.
We paused after the game and after everything happened, and my GM at the time went to me and was like, "Do you realize you just created Fantasy 9/11?" You know, I'm like, because we did accidentally ram a dragon into a building, and bad things happened afterwards. We did not mean to.
You just have to be tasteful about it and try to avoid anything like super recent.
Again, in that story, I will tell you for the entire thing is we weren't trying for it, and the things that happened made sense what was going on. You know,
there's comedy in the moment, and then there's basing your setting around the American invasion of Iraq.
Yeah, and we were able to take a step back and say that was connected to that kind of thing because it by chance happened to it. But if you're trying to do something like that directly, it's a little bit more. You have to be careful for tastefulness. You know, that's the kind of thing.
In a more serious note.
Eberron
exists, which has a lot of World War I and World War II stuff, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That whole cool city blowing up, that's basically just the atomic bombings.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, like... yeah, so, I mean...
You just have to handle it tactfully.
I agree that older stuff tends to be a little bit better. And if you do handle modern stuff, you're definitely gonna have to be a little bit more careful with it. But
Yeah,
I think
you can do. I mean, you can do whatever you want with your D&D set.
like certainly
I mean,
speaking,
yeah.
you could tell a plague tale. Yes, now granted, there have
Yes.
been a lot over the periods, but we have it fresh in our mind of the 2020 pestilence that happened to us all, and the fact is that you could still tell a tale that may be more akin to something like that rather than maybe the Black Death, or the Spanish flu epidemic or things like that occurred. There are definitely styles to pestilences that could be told there too, but it doesn't it just depends on the way you tell things to and the way that it is, and being tactful to if you are using those inspirations from real world, because the idea of those, as I said, those have existed. That core concept of I learned about this plague that happened in history. I want to have this kind of thing happen in one of my stories and have it be like a thing for my players. Carrion Crown. There's a plague in one of the adventures in Crimson Throne. That adventure. Is it referencing anything? Not particular, but it is one of those things that, certainly speaking, we can see there is real world connections to.
It has more literary reference than real world connection, because it makes the Red Masquerade reference is literally one of the quests.
Yeah. So I think, again, that's that entire thing of there are a lot of, fictional references. We've talked about that plenty of times, using fictional references. But yeah, certainly speaking, there are ways that you could go about a lot of things that have happened. And things like explorers, checking out new and interesting lands. People that have had crazy lives that have happened to them. You could have certain things happen to characters.
If you're designing an entire faith, why not have a big portion of that faith be based on some guy's fictional fan fiction about how everyone he hates burning in hell?
Mm-hmm. Granted, if you are okay with darker stories, we talk about darker things, you could do it something as simple as my airship crashes in the mountains, we have to get out or eat each other. It's the story of the rugby players in the mountain. That happened. It's kind of awful. There's a movie about it, though, I think. Is there a movie about
it?
There might be multiple movies.
But it's a pretty awful, harrowing story.
It's also a common trope now at this point, too.
Yeah. So it's like, the trope versus literal is harder to do now because, there have been a lot of stories that have been told, too.
The more disconnected you as a group are from a historical tragedy, the easier it is to work into your narrative.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases, there is something to be said that, a tragedy happening in, India that, none of you are aware, fully aware of could actually be better, as long as you treat it with kindness.
If I'm in a game and the DM puts an allegory for the Trail of Tears, I'm going to side-eye a little bit, because, that's just a weird thing to replicate. But I'm half Native American for context. That's just a weird thing to want to replicate in your game. And maybe, mass genocide, you don't base into your setting, because that's just kind of not cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this sometimes, I don't know. That's kind of...
Well, I'll say, if your setting is built for that, something
Put a warning in the session 0 that's going to come
100%.
Right?
It's sort of if
100% want to do that.
It's like if I say I'm running Dark Sun, people are going to be like, okay, some really horrible things are going to happen.
You gotta stamp a lot of content warnings on Dark Sun.
Yeah.
No, I very much believe in if you're playing with people who you don't know well, and even you should definitely. Even if you do know them well, sometimes it's still good to talk about the content.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I'm saying, if you don't know them well, definitely get one of those sheets that are all where the lines are. If it's new players.
What is everyone's line on
lines and
content
fails
is always a very
lines
good.
Yeah. And again, I think another thing about this entire thing too is, again, rarely would I take historical things literally at this point in time. I'm not saying you can't. I think that's why I started with it. But one of those things is, if you see something interesting in history, you then could move on to, well, what else has that inspired? Maybe I can get that extended thing about again, like as we said, there are different things that have been inspired by World War One, World War Two in media. Trench Crusade, various parts of Warhammer, various other fantasy things that have had this kind of veneer of World War One, World War Two kind of gone on top of it to a degree, and you can kind of see in those lores there and kind of take steps away. You're taking steps away, but you're starting out at those original points in time that did exist. So it's sort of like, okay, I kind of want to do this. I've heard about in history. Now that might, again, that also might, that's, yes, I'm turning to then popular fiction and stuff there too, like we've talked about before, but I've got a direction now to go into rather than just choosing something randomly,
Like
or
if
while I'm enjoying, a movie or something getting inspired.
a good example I'll always use, because it's an example I do think is done very well, is the original Star Wars trilogy is Vietnam in space.
Yeah.
But you can't really tell that it is, despite it being very heavily inspired by, the Vietnamese plight against the American Empire. If you do enough masking, it does become easier to work these kind of things into your setting.
Again, like you have to consider the brilliance of George Lucas. He kind of started with probably feelings about that, but then told a very good story in a very big direction in a world that was very different than that entire thing. So there are some themes that link back to that. But again, like it's telling us certain stories of a people oppressed and an empire against them. It's it's the horrificness of imperialism in many ways. And there are other aspects of it that you could certainly compare to it in that way. And I think that's one of those things about a lot of media that does a good job. And I think you want to do that kind of job with the stories you tell, yeah, I mean, like, kind of. I'm not gonna lie, making British the bad guys a lot. They've done a lot.
That's just history.
Yeah, look, I'm sorry. The British are your average British person doing a lot better, but they do have to deal with they've done a lot.
The East India Company is one of history's greatest monsters.
Yeah, they've done a
Same
lot.
with the conquistadors.
Yeah, you gotta remember that for a good chunky history, Britain's oppressed. There's literally more there's more independence from people celebrating independence from Britain than any other holiday.
Like, it's actually quite honestly, if you're going to do an oppressive imperial overlord type faction, you are pretty safe to base it on England, France, or Spain.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do Belgium, that gets a little bit darker because of King Leopold and all the horrible things he did in pretty recent history.
Yeah.
But
and if you're gonna base it off US, that's also pretty recent history.
Yes. So Britain, France, Spain, pretty safe to base your villains off of.
You could fortunately say probably base it off of Spanish-American War era US, though, if you're going to do for some
definitely
things.
Could.
We made choices during that time period once we took over stuff from Spain.
We're still making those choices to this day.
Yeah. They were good choices. So yeah. So there's definitely directions to take with a lot of these that you kind of look at in a lot of interesting things in history that have occurred. And again, this is kind of going into bigger picture setting a lot, but I do think you can kind of taper it into interesting characters in history. Yeah. You could definitely tell a story about, how about this? A wizard has discovered a new type of magic, but it's cursed them with a deadly death, and maybe you'll try to help find them a way to get rid of that curse, because they're the only one that can recreate it, and the sickness is overcoming them. You basically just made Marie Curie and are trying to get rid of her radiation poison. Is that exactly like that? No, but the concept of someone who kind of discovers something great, gets killed by it, and maybe you would try to help them.
Another good example is you have in your setting, either currently or slightly historically in your setting, you have someone who unified a region of smaller states into one much more powerful state to fend off their enemies. Congratulations, you have a character based on Bismarck.
Yeah. There are, very interesting things of characters and people in history are a great way to do about it for major NPCs or
a great revolutionary. You could base that off of either one of the great socialist thinkers. You could base it off of George Washington. You could base it off of quite a lot of figures because there's a lot of
Make him a horn
revolutionaries in
dog, and
human
then it's
history.
Franklin. You know,
Yeah.
make him also a horn
Any of
dog.
the founding fathers. Make them racist, and it's any of the founding fathers.
Just look, you know, I think I've always said about the U.S. founding fathers is they were a bunch of really imperfect people that tried to do some great things. You know,
If Franklin were alive today, he'd be a furry.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That man was, you know, he was an asshole, but he was an insane and fun asshole. You know,
a lot of famous people are not good people.
You know what?
Here's the thing. I'm kind of the belief that everyone has their dark sides and everyone has their...
No. I just thought about it. I really do think Franklin's kind of the quintessential American. He's an asshole, but he does a lot of crazy shit.
He dedicated a portion of his life to writing a pamphlet just to ruin some other guy's life.
Yeah. Man.
Because that's all people with money did in that time period is they fucking had pamphlet wars.
Pamphlet wars. But, you know, getting back to kind of the topic here as it is. I mean,
one of my favorite upcoming settings at French Crusade is based off of many historical events being changed slightly.
Yeah. And I think there are plenty of like RPGs, tabletop stories and stuff that are just basically like what if stories. And the thing is, you could do that yourself. You could do a what if story that would be a little different. You don't necessarily need to look to that popular media, but you know, there's plenty of stories that have very interesting things. There's I can't remember the name of the RPG, but there was one of them that was what if George didn't slay the dragon and instead basically made it a mount and basically became a dragon rider, you know, in the Sir George Slays the Dragon storyline. And then we're just like, then they put it in like Renaissance era just now with dragons, you know, because the dragons didn't get killed off.
I mean, we've got that upcoming tabletop RPG. I think it's still coming of what if dragons in Napoleonic era.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they already have the Aztec Dragons one.
That one was a very interesting
Dragons
one.
Conquer America, that's what it's
Dragons
called.
Conquer America was a very interesting one, and it was one of those definitely ones that deals with a lot of, you know, things, and they do talk about that, because they're like, hey, yeah, you know, conquistadors, we have them in our game. Remember that, you know? They were not good people. Anyway, you know, remember that, and to talk about it appropriately when you use that in your game, if you're talking about things for your characters. You know, conquistadors. Anyway, it's still a very interesting setting overall. But no, yeah, I think that's why I kind of wanted to hit on this topic a little bit too. It had been something on the list anyway, and I think
I'll just say one more thing. If you're gonna like use a conquistador allegory, maybe don't make them the good guys.
Yes. You don't necessarily have to make them like the most villainous characters, but at very least they are not good people. They are doing some bad stuff, and you know,
anyone doing active colonization should not be viewed as like a heroic character.
Yeah. It's never a good thing to be the colonization side of stuff, but you know, certainly speaking, you can have a character that is involved with a group doing that. That might not be the worst person as there is, because there are a lot of people that end up in like, groups that, you know...
The organization should not be something like written as super heroic or good. You can have good people.
It could very well be that character's arc to learn about, like, oh, wait, hey, I've learned these terrible things from the people that were ahead of me. Maybe we were wrong, you know? That is a thing that plenty of, like, you know, great storytelling can be about, of, you know, discovering that there are plenty of groups out there that, you know, have done pretty awful things, and they tell their people really bad things about the people they're doing too, because then they don't know, and you don't know any better, and unfortunately it just does the cycle.
You could also just pull an Assassin's Creed and make the Pope a Templar with a mind control orb.
Damn you, Pope, and your mind control orb. We have to assassinate him now.
Yeah, and just assassinate the Pope and then make a bunch of terrible games.
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, that just inspires me of combining that with the one assassin novel from 40K I've heard about with a summary of it.
Kingmaker Assassinorum is
Yeah, just combine the two of those. Like, you have to assassinate the Pope and secretly replace him. It's like, you say, oh, the Pope passed away, and here's the new one, and we've already elected him. Don't worry about it, the secret election of a new Pope. Or maybe because no one ever saw him, this is the real Pope. Don't worry about it, One of those kind of crazy stories. Again, that's combining a couple things there, a little bit of historical flair on top of a fantasy thing. But yeah, so there you go. There's some ideas if you want to use some real life things and some advice for it too. Cool. All right. Yeah, that should switch over. That's supposed to switch over. There we go. Hey, let's talk about what we played this week. Now, we didn't have Joe's game this week. We're off a couple extra times.
We did not.
I think we'll be back in our normal 2 weeks pattern. We were just going to be down someone.
Next week.
And we're fairly close to the end. Close, but again, I'll say it. I've enjoyed Joe's game, but I'm definitely ready for it to be over. It's I think it's just, again, has felt longer for the 2 week pattern, than it needed to be. So, sometimes you get to the end of the game and you're excited for more, and other times you're like, it's been fun, but I'm ready for a new story, and I think I'm on that end right now. I've had a good time, but I am definitely ready for the story to end. I like Baldur, but I feel like if we dive deeper into it, Baldur would just go insane. He's been walked off the edge once. I don't know if you can walk him back off the edge a second time,
He's about to have a legendary crash out.
Yeah, look, one crash out's enough. They walked him, he got to that edge and they walked him back. But can they do it again? Anybody how'd Monday, Tuesday go?
Monday went well. We thought we met, I think, an imp creature who gave us some cool info.
Ooh.
About how basically, like, the planet we're on is, like, borderline about to be thrown into the garbage because it's a dead world. And we got to how to maybe stop that. Then we went and killed a Minotaur and ignored all the information.
All right. That's interesting.
We'll get to it eventually. But we went and killed a Minotaur in his maze because he sucks. And we wanted his fat loot.
All right. Interesting.
Hey, we're level 3. We need money. Also, it technically helps the area because this guy's been, like, raiding villages and killing people.
It's like, technically we're helping people by murdering this guy. Don't worry about it.
We helped people. Reward, please.
Yeah, exactly. How'd Tuesday go with that?
Tuesday went really funny. Because we basically still in rebellion phase. We're still, like, civil warring. We took the main bridge of the city back, which resulted in us having to fight a lot of dudes and their leader, who was a cavalier on horseback, which would have been a nightmare had we not reduced the bridge to difficult terrain, meaning that they couldn't actually do any horse charges. Then we ran into the issue of, well, they're like 100 feet away from us, and it's going to take a really long time to cross this difficult terrain. How do we solve this? All right, Sorcerer grabs my Paladin's hand and just fucking Dimension Doors both of us next to the boss, and I kill him in one turn. We tactical drop the Paladin onto the boss.
That'll do it.
We're doing, I think, better than Paizo expects, because in this book there is a meta game of, like, a points value system of every time we take something, the villain loses points, and then he would regain points. We reduced him to 0 points on the 3rd dungeon out of 6 dungeons. So what happens now is he releases a blue dragon to come fight us. that's not technically supposed to happen till the end of the book, but we basically already beat him by only doing half of the book's content.
Ah,
So now we have to fight a blue dragon. It should be fine, considering dragons have really bad touch AC, and we have a man who throws pipe bombs, and I'm a paladin.
that's true. It is a blue dragon, and you have a man who throws pipe bombs, which is not electrical damage.
He throws holy pipe bombs.
Ooh, yeah,
So the dragon might just get staggered a punch.
yeah. Look,
It'll either be a fight where someone dies, or a dragon dies in 2 rounds.
look, alchemist is one of the two classes I would say is this class is either fairly weak or insanely powerful depending on the game you're in. It's that and witch. Because if you're in anything that has no will save, witch is just going to put everything to sleep. If you're in anything that either has no touch AC or is weak to elements, or like you doesn't have protection versus elements, you're going to get nuked by an alchemist. It's the two things about like which
This
one are
alchemist has been both the most highest damage dealing class and also maybe one of the most frustrating things to actually deal with. Because Joe took the Tanglefoot Bomb, which is not very well written.
Yeah.
We still are not 100% sure if we're even doing it correct.
Even if I checked it, I doubt I'd be able to figure that out.
Because it's a bomb that acts as a Tanglefoot bag,
Yeah.
but we don't know because a Tanglefoot bag has subsequent saving throws for not being tangled, but the bomb doesn't. So we have never really figured out how this bomb is supposed to work.
Yeah. Where are you, Tanglefoot bag? Tanglefoot bomb. Tangles for the bombs. Yeah, let's see here. Here's the good old writing. A creature takes direct hit for a Tanglefoot bomb must make a save against the bomb's DC or be entangled and glued to the floor as if it failed to save against the Tanglefoot bag. Creatures in the splash area that also fail to save are entangled but not glued to the floor. Those who make the save are not entangled at all.
So, because this just says entangled and does not have the wording of Tanglefoot bag, which says you can damage the Tanglefoot stuff.
Yes.
I don't know how this bomb is supposed to be run. No, none of us do. We're just running it as a Tanglefoot bag with a higher DC.
Yeah.
Probably correct.
Yeah, they don't really tell you anything about how to get it off.
It's not a well-written ability.
Yeah. Like, I'm just looking at it. Has anybody opened up Ultimate Magic? I'm going to ask that question.
No, I don't think anyone has opened up Ultimate
I'm going to
Magic.
try Ultimate Magic if I can find what the fuck I have it. In the meantime. So, yeah.
Because, I mean, this is one of the, 4 books you should have for Pathfinder 1E.
Yeah. There you are.
You want Ultimate Magic, you want Ultimate Combat, you want the Advanced Race Guide, and the Advanced Class Guide. Those are, the 4 you really want.
Yeah. I might as well jump ahead and just let you know that we didn't have D&D today.
Oh.
While you're looking. Two players were sick.
Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah. One of them was sick with the flu most of the week, but then started to get worse, and apparently has got both tonsillitis and bronchitis.
Ooh, rough.
At
That
the same
sucks.
time. Yeah. And the other one just wasn't under the weather. So.
Sorry, I've got the PDFs too big. I forgot I have to minimize them just a little bit to see that there. Anyway, I'm gonna say here, I'm gonna assume you're doing it correctly just by looking at it because they just say as it failed to save against a Tanglefoot bag, see page 106 of the core rulebook.
Yeah, the PFSRD doesn't give a great explanation on it.
It's a little bit better in Ultimate Magic, but it's not much better. They just sort of because there especially are just like you see the actual Tanglefoot bag, so I was that at least puts you on the assumption that it works like a Tanglefoot bag for breaking it off, but it doesn't say
We've
it
just been
directly.
ruling into the Tanglefoot bag with a higher DC.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But again, like, I got to be honest. Like, if a GM made a decision on something else, I wouldn't hold it against them because they don't say anything there. You know. So yeah. So you didn't have today. Other than Wednesday, did I have any other tabletop? I don't think I played a little Flux. Oh, I played a little Flux. That was, I think, last Saturday night. I played a little bit of Flux. Joe and we played some stuff, and I finally managed to get some people together, and I played a little bit of Flux. That's what I did. So it was just fine. It was Flux. Flux is always kind of fun. It's not anything crazy. So yeah. Wednesday. We can talk about Wednesday, I guess, a little bit here. It was the latest episode of Frosty Job. I'm thinking the thing about this entire adventure is, I think for me, it's been a challenge trying to make sure everybody's involved a little bit too, because I feel like everybody made pretty decent characters, but didn't make characters that could do a lot of things in some ways. I think like I feel like Joe and Jesse's characters are very tapered in one direction, and sometimes are a lot harder to use in scenes and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, Joe. I don't want to say Joe didn't make a bad character. Joe made a character not particularly fitting for this book.
That's what I was gonna say about it. I think his character's fine. It just doesn't fit very well in this book. Jesse's character.
It is funny because you did actually warn him about that. So.
Yeah.
I think
Jesse's character is just basic street samurai.
Yeah, just basic street samurai, and they can have trouble with doing stuff at certain points in times because
maybe throw in a couple more like physical checks. Is all I could really say to include.
Yeah, maybe like something with some mooks.
Like I think next week you could definitely, or I guess it would be next week. You could definitely throw in some like physical checks to like intimidate or get information and stuff, right?
Yeah, and I mean, heck. You can even throw in more perception checks, so I could use my strong abilities.
Yeah. As for Joe, I don't know. The man sucks at Googling things in the game. There's not much that can help this guy.
I mean, so the problem, we did make a lot, like... I think it's funny, because, like, the three of us did make, other than you, Momo, did make heavily combat-focused characters. Now, with that said, I put a lot of points into combat, but it's not like a highly focused combat character. But
yeah, I would say everyone's characters can function outside of combat. You always do want that one character that's not like my character can hold their own in combat, but my character is designed around like incapacitating people in combat or just avoiding combat altogether.
I think the thing is,
I realize, and thinking about it now, I honestly think part of the reason for that might be because we all just came off of Pathfinder.
That could be that. It also could be maybe Shadowrun 5th edition does combat better, but from what I remember in 4E, the goal was to avoid combat.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the point of the system is to be ready to get into combat, but basically try to. I think that's the kind of thing on styling is come up with a plan that does not involve combat. Fall back on that, you know, and I feel like again coming off of something like Pathfinder where it is much more combat focused, it's kind of harder to do that, and I think there was a little bit more of it, and I think it's one of those things is I kind of can say like as I've had for Pathfinder Shadowrun characters of the Path, your characters are okay, but they're not good or great. What I mean by that is usually speaking, from my experience, I'll just say this: a very good Pathfinder character or even a great one, though has their specializations, will maybe have like a point here or there in certain things that they have some other options of doing stuff or helping with certain things, you know, like that.
So, I did do that.
That's why I'm saying, like,
if I would
overall, I said your characters are kind of like more okay.
I think my character is, it's good at what I wanted to do, which was face, because you need a face.
Yeah. I think the two of you have the best characters.
The one thing I would change with my character is I would probably remove the mat, because I assume Joe's would be using the van a lot more, but I guess not.
Yeah.
I would remove the spell mask vehicle, and I would take like a combat spell instead.
Yeah, and part of me kind of wishes at this point that I played the other idea that I had, only because that one was going to be kind of more Funny enough, I was gonna do sniper either way, but the other one was gonna be a bit more tech savvy. Whereas this
I
one,
think the
but it would have been a
biggest-
lot less facey. So
I
we
think
would've had
I think
one
the thing
face
is when
only,
Joe
which-
said he
and
was
no,
going to be the rigger, we
Mm.
figured he would at least fit the tech savvy level.
Yeah, I
So-
thought Joe was
Yeah,
gonna
I did too.
do half rigger, half decker.
I thought so too.
Like you can be half decker without actually being a decker. What I mean is you can have things like a decent amount of like
Mhm.
searching or like, you know, basic kind of computer etiquette and stuff like that too. Because I'm not gonna
Because-
lie, drones deal with that a lot, and he's not good at that. So it's sort of like he can
Yeah.
only do so much repairs on his drones.
Because I was going to originally I was going to play decker, and then Joe said, "No, I'm gonna play a rigger," and I'm like, "Okay, then you have that covered probably."
Yeah.
But Joe invested really hard into drones, which is fine, but it isn't always helpful.
No. And like it's one of these things is the way he invested into drones, like he invested into combat for the drones a lot more. Which
Yeah.
if you guys get into a really good combat he can plan out, he's very deadly. But the problem is sort of like it's sort of like the guy you're going to go after now. We'll talk about the story of the game right now. You want him alive. That's hard to do with drones. You know?
Unless you have them rigged with stun
He does
darts,
have
which
stun.
I-
He does have stun stuff with
He
them.
does,
he does
he does have at least
So
one with stun stuff, but like most of them I think don't. Because he's got like a group of them, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the
It's
problem
like-
with me is that even loading stun bullets into my gun, I can still kill because they do so much damage.
yeah.
It just then comes up down to, I think, familiarity with the system and building in the system, I think is what it was. And again, I don't think anybody has a bad character. I think Joe's is an okay character. I just don't think, like, I think there are better ways that he could have done things. And, like, I think,
Yeah.
like, for me, if I was going to play a rigger, I would have taken, like, 2 or 3 drones, and that's it.
Yeah,
Like-
you don't need a lot of drones.
And then maybe,
Ideally, you'd need one for every common situation you think you're going to come across.
and, like, he went and listened to online advice, which is not necessarily bad, but it was like an
He
interesting
always-
idea
Yeah, that's just he always does
that you
this.
have to be careful with, because it was like, as he said,
Oftentimes, it depends on the GM, like what
Mhm.
GM.
I don't know who we went
does.
to that had an idea about like the swarm drones, because I'm only half understanding how the entire swarm stuff works or how well it's going to do. It's sort of like one brain for a bunch of drones kind of thing, like that too.
Yeah, it's a complicated thing.
Yes, and I'm like, you've made it already a mess. Like, drones are already another level up. You know, as I said, there are levels up you add for Shadowrun for complexity. Sort of like you start out with the base level, which is Street Samurai comes up and punches stuff, or maybe an Adept comes up and punches stuff. Then you get into kind of like drones, just on basic general level. Then you have things like now the swarm drones, hacking, basic magic. I'll put that on the next level up there. And then above that, I go into astral stuff, because there's a lot of stuff with astral stuff that is even sometimes a little bit more confusing to me than even like the hacking, you know, stuff a little bit too. On the surface, they seem similar, but like there's another level because it deals with some spirit shenanigans.
Like- I would say that I am a face animation. I did invest specifically into shooting.
Yeah.
If
He has.
if like combat happens, because it hasn't come up. It has not been shown. I have the shotgun revolver. I have not brought it out yet. It is an
Mhm.
armor piercing revolver.
Again, like, there were some opportunities for combat. The entire thing in the streets was a very good chance for some actual combat. It's just that things were solved very quickly and in a way that, like, took care of it, you know, because, again, like, as I said, Frosty was going to do something. She just needed the opportunity to do it. And you gave it to her in, like, 3 seconds. And I'm like, okay, I guess she has an opportunity to do the thing she was going to do. She was going to wait to do it, but she's doing it now.
Okay.
Great.
I'm looking at Joe
Blammo.
because Joe actually sent me a sheet to double check some stuff
Mhm.
for him.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think this much of it because I didn't read up on them, I hadn't read up on them like actual like drone rules yet, so I
Yeah.
wasn't sure how any of this worked. But I just counted. I didn't even really think to do this. I just counted how many robots he has. He has 15, and 10 of them are just
Lord.
straight up combat dogs.
Yeah.
That's so much.
Those are the ones that are
Right?
swarmed together. Yeah. it's too many drones.
That's a lot of drones.
Again,
Yeah.
it's not that you can't do that, but it's like you're choosing something. You're choosing something difficult, choosing something a little bit more difficult than that. It's like you're taking a couple levels up. So we're handling it now, but again, like it's that other thing too is you're focusing on combat with 15 combat drones, or even less 10 of them being just straight up combat drones with the group of buildings.
Could just like bypass so many combat encounters. Being like, well, I just sent 15 drones in.
Yeah.
It's-
I mean, I'm
you-
pretty sure people will just surrender at that point.
Yeah, I mean, if 15 drones showed up, I'm not fighting that.
Well, again, 10. It's basically 10. We think 10 dogs.
He's got
10
10
robot
Dobermans, I think
dogs.
they're called. They're like robot
Yeah.
dogs, yeah.
Bro's playing a fucking Metal Gear Rising character.
And then he's got two mosquito drones, and then I don't know what a Lockheed Optic X2 is.
I've
And then he's got one
not
roto
a
drone,
clue.
which is basically the hover drone.
Mhm.
So
Because when
That
I
makes
played
sense.
Rigger, granted this was 4E. It's not that much different, but it should be worth noting. I only had like 3 drones,
yeah,
but they were
I think-
very advanced drones.
I think
The other thing would be, I will always remember Blaze. Blaze played a vehicle rigger before and had a really good vehicle. But the thing about Blaze was his character had the skills that if he needed to get into a different vehicle that was not his custom vehicle, he could do that in case, It's like, yes, I've got my custom vehicle and stuff like that. But, it's also, you're about your adventure. It's like, again, he did choose, when I told you, going out of country to have the vehicle.
Did choose event. Granted, maybe you should have said out of continent.
Yes.
No, that was he did imply, like, I feel like that was kind of obvious.
Yeah,
Granted,
this is what
out
we're
of
talking
country
about.
could imply because the
Because
North
you
America
could
is
literally
broken
just
up.
drive south and hit another country.
I
Well,
tried to.
he did tell him he will need to he will need to arrange transport because we will not be able to get there by car. That is what
Mhm.
he was told.
And transport is. I made the transport as cheap as possible and as easy as
Yeah.
possible. I cheated so much. He should not have had the vehicle. Like, honestly, he could have. I guess unless he paid an exorbitant price for the air travel. Like, that was the only way to get it in. Honestly.
Like, I think, realistically, if we do continue, I think maybe the drone character needs swapped out.
Well, again, we'll
Um,
maybe talk about like
I don't know.
redoing some stuff
Yeah.
on character. I think what I'll do is
'Cause
I'll talk
I
about
know-
either redoing characters a little bit or switching characters, in between or something like that.
So, because I know we floated the idea of doing, because of the adventures from 4E, obviously, of going to 4E, but I did look at some of my books. Realistically, some of these characters cannot be remade in 4E.
Okay.
Even if, like, from just character creation, you only get 400 build points by default.
Yeah.
You would have to get
Yeah.
more build points for these characters, for some of these characters.
Yeah, I think the shifter's kind of hard to do.
That's kind of why the priority system is better, because you can make stronger stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd have to probably go to like 3.
I don't know if I
So
want to
I
go back as
think it
far
is-
back as 3 though.
I think it's just better to stay in 5e and just continue adapting.
No, that makes sense then. Again, I hadn't had a chance to look at it because we weren't done. I mean, I think we're at least we're somewhere in that third to halfway done the adventure, I would say, at this point in time. So, we're 5 sessions in and we're pretty good.
Honestly,
into the story.
maybe also just throw a combat in.
There are going to be combats in the back end of it. I will tell you that there, because nothing goes as planned.
I mean, it never does in these.
Well, I'll put it this way: there will be things that will be very combat related. That whether or not you avoid them and avoid the combats, up to you guys. But they are things that will be facing you down, trying to gun you down a lot more. And
Yeah,
also probably
Is how
requiring
these usually go.
capturing a guy. Might involve some combat too. I'm not going to lie.
Because we only need that one guy alive.
Yes, but as has been kind of hinted at here, someone with motivations that are probably not good did this, and most likely maybe had some help. Who knows, or at least has some friends that might be very good at making things difficult for you to grab.
Like, I mean, I'm gonna 100% be honest. If we go in and it is that gang that did it, there might not be a talking down of hostilities because perhaps some elf doesn't like them and wants them dead.
They are not great. They do control the city, unfortunately. Their entire group is not great.
Joe didn't pick up hacking at all.
That's so funny. That's really funny. That sucks.
I mean, the thing is, you don't technically need a hacker, but
You
I would
probably
say
throw, like, if you're doing tech, you should throw a point into it.
I would say like
you should've
usually
thrown a point.
I would say a point and at least a couple points in all the other computer-based skills. If you're doing a tech kind of person, just to have them. I would have. What does he have? Does he have? What's? I don't know what the search skill is. What does he have for that?
Search skill is just computer, I think.
What's his computer actually?
His computer is 6. He put 2 points into it.
That's fine.
2's not bad, but like
Might want more, but
I would have also invested in some programs. I don't think he really did that either. So like
what? Yeah, I would have put
Oh!
less points into aeronautic mechanics.
why is that?
I think because it does affect him repairing his aircraft drones.
his
But-
mosquito drones and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I did think
Because, like,
of something to suggest though, because you might have some time. I don't know. This is something you probably should have done and should have done because like you're on a little bit more of a time schedule now, with everything going on. But like he certainly could have gone and bought some programs. I think he had a lot of money, but like
yeah.
Well, no. Joe's poor right now because he spent a lot of it on shipping his thing over.
This van has cost him so much trouble.
yes. Again, trouble he made for himself. Anyway,
Yeah.
we should probably summarize the entire the session, just in case anybody missed it here, though, too. So you got arrangement to go to the palace of the Oni of the Aruba, and the idea was that he is doing some showings. Basically, for the next couple of days, he's doing some showings for the items that will be up in auction in Lagos. So it was an opportunity to see if, for one, he is selling the item that Frosty is looking for, and the rest of you are too. Two, to see if you can find Samuel there. Samuel. I keep saying Samuel, but it's like Samuel. Whatever, it's close enough.
He's a guy.
Yeah, and three, honestly, Frosty was like, maybe we can see something else that would interest my employer there. And it ended up being that 2 of those were correct because Samuel was there. The item, unknown where it's at, but there was this nice map that was very interesting. So we got a cast of like characters that are probably going to be your rivals when it comes down to this. Some of them might be more of a problem than others. We'll have to see. It depends on how things go. But certainly speaking, at very least a couple of groups are proving to be very bad too, and a couple others you just might not want to rub the wrong way. It's kind of like keep an eye out for these and try not to piss them off. The Aztec technology guys are already staring you daggers, and the people Samuel's working for are probably going to be a problem for you. But other than that, now you're going to try to get to an auction to get a map, and there was a thing stolen from the vaults there that was not part of the auction, but like a religious item for the Robo people. So you're trying to get that back by finding the person who stole it and capturing them, hopefully alive, with the item. That's the plan. Because it's a very good bargaining chip to get a pass to the auction. So I think that's where we're at. I don't think I'm forgetting anything major on the storyline point. I think things went well for the entire setting.
I think it went fine.
Yeah. I think
Kind of helps that you have me rolling. Like, I don't think I've rolled below 7 successes on a social check yet.
Yeah. I think also, like, I tried my best to...
because like I was actually like looking at that. I'm like, you have like 9 dice. 3 should be average.
It's crazy. I've never rolled this good in Shadowrun.
Yeah. I also try to like be creative in other ways that the other players could help out with stuff. With Jesse's character bonding with the guards to see if they know anything. Basically Joe's character getting like a technical like breakdown of some things using concern or stuff about stuff, try to get some like hints about what's going on. The two of you going about your various investigations too, because your characters feel better for what's going on a little bit here.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I just realized something.
Mm-hmm.
Joe made a character, a Hanuman, who with a technical background. Except the Hanuman has a logic cap of 5.
Oh, that's the problem.
Right? And then he only put 4 points into it. I'm like, why wouldn't you max that out? He didn't max out any skill.
Well, maxing out attributes is not critical.
Or attribute.
And 4 is fine.
No, but that would have been 1 more point in literally all of his skills. Like, almost everything he has uses logic.
Yeah, I definitely would have maxed out then, too, if most of your skills are, like, using that.
Anyway, sorry, that was just... I'm like, what the hell? Joe, why did you do this way?
I mean, I think him using that's fine. I mean, you can make a troll decker for all you want,
I know, no,
You
I
make up
agree,
for
but I'm like,
skill
if
and,
you're gonna...
like, equipment, where your mind doesn't.
Yep.
Mhm.
Anyway, that was just something I just noticed. Anyway.
I gotta be honest, I also don't know, other than it's kind of neat, why he chose Hanuma.
Joe
think
likes
it's
to
just
play weird stuff.
I literally think it's just he wanted to make a,
I did.
like...
Hymen are the monkey people, right?
They're like a
it
subspecies of dwarfs that are, like, monkey-based out of India.
The joke is he's a grease monkey.
Yeah. I was trying to remember the term for grease monkey.
Yeah.
This is why you don't make characters based on bugs.
Again, it's not terrible, but it's like just being a normal dwarf would have been a lot better. And again, like
No, like having the logic cap is rough.
it's also one of these things.
Well, again,
that's
like I don't think that's bad. I'm just all like, he has 5. Why didn't he put 5 points into it? Like,
I don't know. It's such a weirdly built character.
it is. It's very weirdly built. I agree.
It's also the thing that I probably should be like. Honestly speaking, because we are just currently at the one adventure, I'll probably run more at this point in time. I haven't actually kind of really nice to all your characters. Because Shadowrun can be a very terrible and oftentimes racist place.
Yep.
There's a lot of hate race groups and a lot of people that are very hatred. Now, granted, you kind of hit that a little bit with the Igbo because they're incredibly sexist and kind of hateful, and they haven't been necessarily treating you guys the best anyway. But like, I think Jesse's character is the only one that can kind of get away with anything, really, because he's just a human dude.
Elves, elves are like.
You seem to keep forgetting that I look like a dude.
Yeah.
I may not be a dude, but I look like.
In
a
generally
dude.
speaking,
bird,
you pass pretty well unless someone's
body.
looking at magic, kind of thing like that. And then like,
Yes.
I feel like your character is a little bit in the middle. I think Joe's character is the one that probably stands out the most.
Yes,
but other than that, like,
as far as the meta-human types go, elves are like not the worst treated.
and the thing that you think about the Igbo is they are incredibly sexist and kind of hateful towards magic, but they aren't necessarily bad towards meta types per se. They tend to actually be a lot of humans and orcs because they are very much more on the male masculinity might makes right kind of people. A lot of times.
If you play an orc or a troll, traditionally you have a harder time socially, and especially in Seattle because they banned orcs.
Mm-hmm.
Or tried to.
Yeah, they did try for a while there. I think there can be kind of around, but there's definitely like some areas that orcs are a lot more nowadays from all the problems there. But I think the thing about Joe's character is like I'm unsure how people react to him, so I just treat him like a normal dwarf. That's what it is because it's like
I realistically there should
unusual.
be social penalties.
Yes, on top of the ones he already gets on top of that.
Also, I thought I'd just look it up real fast. Yeah, the whole thing about my character is like shifters are dual. I'm just going to read the section from the wiki. Shifters are dual-natured, meaning they exist in both the astral world and the physical world simultaneously. In astral space, the shifter's alternate form is always visible when using an astral perception and aura reading.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most people are just going to think you're a human.
Yeah.
Or whatever you look like, right?
Yeah.
Because you could obviously look like an elf or an orc.
But you do have to worry about...
no. So that's the thing. The forms are
you...
mostly set.
Are you set to being human if you're a shifter or human appearance?
I
prefer experienced shifters.
Oh, shifters can use any form, but once they kind of pick their form,
Oh yeah, so that's kind of what I meant. Is like you look like a human, but if you at creation picked to look like an elf, you could have.
yeah, I could have.
I think the other thing that I'm thinking about here with the entire situation is it's sort of like I do have to reflect upon like there will be groups that will probably like I'm not gonna lie. You're probably gonna be cautious when going to Victoria, like the island, where the thing would be, because it's very corporate in there, and the corporations aren't the people around here. The people around here, a lot of the tribal people, they, especially the magic users, might be a little bit more understanding of like shifters and stuff too. There's some African shifters and stuff like that out there. So like, certainly speaking between the Yorubu and the Igbo and their groups and their magic users, they might at very least kind of like maybe not say something exactly. Maybe they'll be a little bit more understanding about like a shifter. But as soon as you get on that corporate isle where probably the auction is, that might be an issue. You're gonna have to figure out something for that one. I just thought about that now.
I just realized I should have picked up masking, because you can actually hide that alternate form with masking. I just noticed.
Well, when we eventually get karma and some downtime, we can adjust some things.
I just at this point in time, since we don't really have downtime, we're just gonna like have to say like how many
9.
sessions did we have?
Hey, yeah, exactly.
Just how many sessions do we had? Like, I don't look, I think it's just been like kind of like where there hasn't been anything that has screamed to me karma different than the standard amount per session, at this point in time, So standard per session, standard for adventure. Here's a bunch of karma. Good luck. Figure something out with it. That'll be it. But, I do think maybe I will do is
So I say like what 3 karma session, I think.
2 or 3 karma,
If you actually accomplish stuff, of course.
And I think like the adventure has like an extra bonus, like 4 at the end or something like that. I'll have to check the
Yeah, because you move super slow, you're not going to get as much karma
You haven't
rewards.
been bad though for speed either. Like I feel like that's a thing. But again, there's another thing I think about the entire system is it took you guys a while to figure out how the legwork section would work, kind of, and stuff like that, and like looking into stuff and things like that, which is an important part about any Shadowrun mission is, some legwork, kind of figuring it out. Granted, sometimes you get lucky and your fixer or your Mr. Johnson gives you enough information to start out that legwork, but usually you want to do a little bit of your own and kind of stuff like that. And again, it's a very different system and a kind of different idea about systems, so I think it's been a while getting used to it.
I mean, also in character, you could obviously make the connection of, oh, she's paying us daily, so perhaps at the start some people wanted to go a little slower.
Yeah.
To milk more money out of the job.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's unless anybody else anything else.
I think the game's been really fun, personally.
No,
I've been very.
Nothing really happened.
I've been happy with it, but also like I've been trying to like there are definitely things that I feel like I need to kind of work on for it. So that's where I'm kind of at with it. I don't. I'm not 100% like unhappy with it, but I'm like I could do that a little bit better. That's my thought pattern has been a little bit here too.
Yeah, I mean it's your first time running in a Shadowrun in how long, right?
Yes, and it has been a little bit getting used to the way the book writes things a little bit more too. It is very different than an adventure that would be written in like D&D or Pathfinder. So been getting used to that.
Oh, never
too.
mind. Masking isn't a skill; it's an ascension. It's a meta magic you can take when you do an initiation thing. So I can't do that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to do the initiation thing to get, which I can because I'm an adept.
Yes, you can ascend too. Probably if you really wanted to, since you have a nice friend who probably has a lot of levels of ascension, you could go talk to her, because she did roll this nice pile of dice that kind of screams, I've ascended a bunch of times.
Some kind of magical person.
Yeah.
Cool. So I couldn't have started with that anyway. That's good.
Yeah. You don't start with ascension, unfortunately. But it is definitely a thing you can get a bunch of in storyline, depending on how long you go for the campaign too. So that's one of those things is, I'll see how many minutes run. I think what I'm going to be doing is once we're done this one, I might switch it up and kind of switch back and forth. Maybe I will do a mini Pathfinder adventure or something like that, then come back to Shadowrun in between there, just to like, have a little bit of variety there too. But I'll decide on that. We'll kind of figure it out how we're feeling at the end of the adventure, because as I said, 5 to 10 more sessions, depending on how things go. I can definitely see it. You're between that halfway to a third. You're definitely a good chunk of the way into the story. So, You know,
Mhm.
will it take you 1 session to find this guy, or 2 or 3? I don't know.
Who knows?
We'll see how well your
I mean-
legwork goes and how well the idea of trying to capture him goes.
Look, Momo will just roll 50 successes and
It's
will
not
teleport
wrong.
in front of him.
Yeah.
Yep. Look, you know, there's I think there's like 3 major things left to do, and I'll just say like they're the obvious ones is, you know, getting this guy, going to an auction and having whatever happens there, and then I'm not going to lie, it's the very obvious one, getting out of the city. Because you know what, that's an obvious kind of thing that can have complications depending on how things go for part
Yeah, I mean,
2.
we have something other people want, even if we got it fairly.
You are people that do things to steal these kind of things, so you can expect that maybe if you manage to acquire something, someone
Look,
else might try to
it's-
get it back from you.
It's fine. We can use the van as a decoy and leave it.
We'll reimburse you for your van.
No, I'm not.
No.
reversing the van.
Anyway, all right. I guess that's it for our week. We can kind of leave things there. That's fun. I definitely we'll have some good times here. All right. So yeah. Thank you everybody for joining us for today, and I hope you enjoyed the show and the chat. I'll turn it over to Worm to give a shout out because I assume, as usual, Momo, you don't really have anything to shout out.
No, I have no shouts. No shout outs.
So I turn it over to you, Worm.
Yeah, I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter and Blue Sky, and DiamondWyrm on YouTube. If you need to, if you want to catch me, there we go. My brain frisked there. If you want to catch me later, I should be streaming tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. PDT.
No. Myself, Tensenarv and Dracovin, I run the channel here as with a cat on my shoulder who wants to really escape sheepdog. She's like, you caught me and I like you, but I also dislike you because I don't want to be caught. I want to escape. Cry. Smarty. There you go. She's snuggle. You can find me here most days of the week, basically Tuesday through Saturday. I'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be doing some gaming, so make sure to check that out. I do some tabletop stuff. Of course, Wednesday, check that out at 8 o'clock for more of the continuing adventures of Frosty Job, our current one of the Artifact Runner series. Make sure to check out next week when we come back for more Discussing Tabletop. I'll be here. Hopefully these two will be with me. Thanks again once the two of them to join me, my wonderful co-host this fine day. And yeah, I have links below to all the other things to check out. If you're over on the YouTube and checking this out, make sure to do the support things over there. And yeah. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your Saturday or /weekend. And until the next time, I say to you, farewell and goodbye.